Chapter 838. He allowed Mo Xiaotang to leave the Extreme Heaven Martial School and join the Zhang Tian Martial School because he wanted to prevent the Extreme Heaven Martial School from facing Yi Qin alone. Although the top 3 martial schools were against the Zhang Tian Martial School, they were not on good terms with each other. On the contrary, the competition between the top 3 martial schools had never stopped. If the Extreme Heaven Martial School wanted to protect themselves, they would have to be patient and not let their emotions affect them. As for right now, with the 3 martial schools working together, Yi Qin would not be able to do anything. Lu Yuming looked crazy as he attacked the elder without caring about anything else. Every sword attack was a killing attack that would injure both of them. You are looking for death. The shadow of the earth bear behind the fierce-looking old man was as huge as a mountain. Rings of thick earthy yellow waves spread out, making the air incomparably heavy. Boom. A fist attack was thrown out, twisting the space. This fist attack seemed to contain the power of a huge mountain. Lu Yoming's method of mutual destruction had only left an indistinct sword mark on the old man's chest, while he himself had been sent flying backwards, spitting out a mouthful of blood. You are overestimating yourself. You were not my opponent when you were at your peak. Now that you have lost your mind, you are definitely not my opponent. The elder sneered with disdain. The life and death secret realm is about to open. It is time to finish this once and for all. Half-step king warriors were very sensitive to Yuan Qi vibrations. Although they were 800 miles away, Yi Qin could still sense the battle on the Mud Dragon Mountain. He stood up and his body flashed, disappearing from the Great Master Palace. 800 miles was only a couple of breaths' time for Yi Qin. From far away, Yi Qin could see the Mud Dragon Mountain and the 3 groups of people flying in the sky. They were naturally the Bald Eagle Valley, the Earth Bear family, and the Extreme Heaven Martial School. And that elder with the Earth Bear shadow behind him should be the half-step demi-beast king of the Earth Bear family. Lu Yuming puked out a mouthful of blood and was blown away. Everyone from the Zhang Tian Martial School was panicking. Seeing Yi Qin coming, they all yelled out happily. Master Yi is here. With Master Yi here, they would not dare to take the spirit fountain by force. Yes, it is naturally impossible for Zhang Tian School to monopolize the spirit vein. But as long as they can get a quarter of it, it would be enough for them to develop for 10 years. Everyone from the Zhang Tian Martial School naturally did not think that Yi Qin alone would be able to scare away all the people from the top 3 martial institutions. But, with Yi Qin and Master Lu, they would have the capital to negotiate. They would no longer be like fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. After all, Yi Qin's power was not something normal half-step king warriors could compete with. You are the new half-step king warrior of Eternal Sky School? You look quite young. The evil elder was one of the 2 half-step demi-beast kings of the Earth Bear family, and was called the Barbaric Bear King. Ling Hui had left the Zhang Tian Martial School with severe injuries, so he naturally could not escape from the eyes of the Earth Bear family. However, he thought that Ling Hui was injured by Lu Yuming and Yi Qin. I'll give you a choice. Immediately take your people and leave the Zhang Tian Martial School's territory. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. As for him, he will die. Yi Qin did not pull out his sword, but pointed his finger at that small leader of the Earth Bear family, who had killed an elder of the Zhang Tian School. Without much effort, a finger hole appeared on the other party's forehead, and he fell to the ground on his back. The top 3 martial institutions looked at each other. This guy was indeed crazy. He had killed a powerful warrior of the Earth Bear family right from the start. He did not take them seriously at all. Little bastard, you are looking for death. The Savage Bear King was furious. The Earth Bear shadow behind his back shook violently, and a thick brown-colored wave spread out towards Yi Qin. Meanwhile, he himself bent his body and threw out a punch, throwing out a thunderous punch towards Yi Qin's head. If this punch landed, no matter how big a mountain was, it would still be shattered. Putting up his right hand's index and middle fingers, Yi Qin sneered as he sliced out with his fingertip. Boom. The surreal space seemed to have been sliced in half. That black curved sword light sliced open the fist power of the Barbaric Bear King and went through his body. With a clanging sound, a crack appeared on the Barbarian Bear King's armor. He felt an incredibly powerful sword chi pass through the armor and into his body, cutting away at his life force. His internal organs were instantly covered in wounds that could not be ignored. One finger attack and he was blown back while puking out blood. What? The Barbaric Bear King was wounded by one finger attack? This scene had caused a lot of people to open their mouths wide, unable to close them. Although the Barbaric Bear King had not reached the life and death challenge realm yet, as a demi-beast with the bloodline of the Earth Bear, He was way more powerful than the human demi-king warriors. Yi Chen was able to wound the barbaric bear king with one finger attack without using any weapon. How could people not be shocked? Earth prison. After the barbaric bear king was wounded, the other demi-beast king from the earth bear family stood out. He formed a spell with both of his hands, and an endless amount of earth yuan qi gathered toward Yi Chen, instantly forming a square yellow cube trapping him inside. The spirit bear king has made his move. It should be able to trap him for a while. The Spirit Bear King's follow-up attacks are the more powerful ones. As everyone was discussing, the Spirit Bear King grinned as he waved his right hand up and yelled, "Mountain flipping stamp." Amidst the shocking earth yuan qi vibration, a huge yellow mountain fell down from the sky like a shooting star, landing on that yellow cube. With that attack, even if it were an Iron Man, he would be badly wounded. Unfortunately, it all depended on who the opponent was. A pitch-black sword mark appeared on the surface of the yellow cube, and a huge amount of sword light shone out of it like a semicircle. The huge yellow mountain and the Spirit Bear King were both within the attacking range of the semicircle. The sword light flashed once, followed by two shoo sounds. The huge yellow mountain cracked open first before disappearing completely. Then, the Spirit Bear King followed in the footsteps of the Barbaric Bear King, puking out blood as he was blown away. Oh, how could he be this powerful? The Spirit Bear King could not believe it. Master Yi is so powerful. The Barbaric Bear King and the Spirit Bear King were not his opponents at all. They could not even handle one attack. Great! The more powerful Master Yi is, the more hope our Zhangtian martial school will have. Let's see if the top 3 martial schools dare to insult us again in the future. Everyone from the Zhangtian martial school was overjoyed. This is not good. Could it be that was telling the truth? This guy's power is even more powerful than the Tiger King. Ling Huho frowned. The Tiger King was one of the top 8 beast warriors, and his cultivation had already reached the peak of the first life and death challenge. If he were here, the 6 top half-step king warriors might not be able to take him down. This was the power of a top half-step king warrior, whose power was unpredictable. Leader, you and the Spirit Bear King are both good at sealing attacks. You might be able to take him down. We are not normal half-step king warriors after all. The great master of the Extreme Heaven Martial School said with a dark face. Yeah. Ling Huho nodded slightly. He was very confident in his sealing attack, and even the Spirit Bear King was not as good as him. With their combined sealing attacks, they would be able to trap Yi Chen for a couple of breaths' time, which would be more than enough for him to land a deadly attack. You guys come at me together. I will take care of you all at the same time and make you guys lie on the ground for a year and a half. In the midair, Yi Chen held his evil shattering sword as his eyes landed on the 6 half-step king warriors from the top 3 martial schools. This time he planned to attack them even harder than Ling Hui. Even if they had precious treasures to heal them, they would not be able to recover in a short period of time. How arrogant! Do you really think that you can take on the 6 of us by yourself? 2 half-step beast kings from the Bald Eagle Valley stood out. They both had eagle noses, thin lips, and 2 black dots in their eyes. They did not look like human eyes at all. They were indeed the Flying Eagle King and the Gray Eagle King. Then Ling Huho and the Great Master of the Extreme Heaven Martial School stood out as well. Along with the Savage Bear King and the Spirit Bear King, the 6 half-step king warriors surrounded Yi Chen in the middle. The rest of them had all backed out for dozens of miles, not daring to stay at the edge of the battle. This guy is tricky. Let's take him down together. Let's see what else the Zhangtian Martial School has. The Spirit Bear King wiped the blood off his mouth as he signaled Ling Huho with his eyes. Ling Huho did not even look away as he stared at Yi Chen. Let's do it. Ling Huho had always been decisive, so he attacked Yi Chen right away. He put his hands together and then opened them up. A black core energy appeared in front of Yi Chen, and a powerful suction force started to drag Yi Chen's body with the black core as the center. Yi Chen could feel that this suction force was affecting his speed. Even if he pushed his speed to its limit, he would not be able to escape from it. Indeed, a half-step king warrior with no special features was not scary at all. But a half-step king warrior with special tricks would be hard to ignore even if they were not that powerful. Earth Prison. The Spirit Bear King's reaction was not slow at all. The second Ling Huho made his move, he had also formed a spell. All of a sudden, the yellow cube sealed Yi Chen again. Let's kill him together. Seeing that Yi Chen had been trapped by 2 powerful sealing spells, the rest of the people looked excited. The Gray Eagle King and the Flying Eagle King waved their hands like wings, throwing out countless wind blades. These wind blades rotated intensely, rubbing against the space and bringing up bright sparks. The Savage Bear King and the Great Master threw out a punch and a kick respectively. The fist power and leg power attacked the yellow cube from the left and right, moving like lightning. Meanwhile, the Spirit Bear King's follow-up attack was still a yellow mountain falling from the sky like a falling star. As for Ling Huho, countless black light chi power appeared around his body. It was centered around the black core energy inside the yellow cube, shooting out with a sizzling sound. 6 half-step king warriors combined their powers, and 2 of them had used their sealing spells to trap Yi Chen. The power that they had released could even kill a normal top half-step king warrior within a second. In their opinion, Yi Chen was not going to make it out alive. Master Yi. Everyone from the Zhang Tian martial school was getting anxious. Lu Yuming yelled, wanting to go up and help. But the Grey Eagle King from the Bald Eagle Valley was already prepared for him. A pair of wings appeared behind his back, and as he flapped them, a huge wind was brought up. A sky full of wind blades attacked toward Lu Yuming, preventing him from getting closer. Inside the yellow cube, Yi Chen's expression did not change at all. His soul power was spread out and he could clearly sense the 6 attacks coming at him. Oh. He waved the evil vanquishing sword lightly without any hesitation. All of a sudden, the yellow cube and the black core energy started to twist, hovering between illusion and reality. In front of the space power, anything could twist and disappear. Chapter 839. Pop. The 6 attacks that were aimed at the brown block were like stones thrown into the water, bringing up a series of ripples before disappearing completely. That is the space profound. Ling Huho yelled out in shock. He broke our attacks with the space profound. Spirit Bear King and the rest of the warriors had a bad look on their faces. The space profound was known as one of the most powerful profound, and it was not without reason. This kind of profound could contain everything and destroy everything. Besides the time profound, no other profound could beat it. The brown block and the black core energy twisted and disappeared. Yi Chen walked out from within without a single wound. He raised his eyes and looked at Spirit Bear King and Savage Bear King. I will take care of you first. The sword light flashed once, and Yi Chen disappeared from where he was standing. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Spirit Bear King, stabbing out with his sword. It was too fast. Yi Chen's speed was unimaginably fast, and the speed of his sword attack was even faster than Spirit Bear King's senses. Spirit Bear King had just raised his arm when his chest was pierced through. The tip of the sword came out from his back, bringing out a stream of blood. Shaking his wrist, Yi Chen took out his evil shattering sword and jumped towards Savage Bear King. So cruel. A 2-finger-wide sword hole appeared on Spirit Bear King's chest. The sharp destructive sword chi was rampaging inside his body, as if there were countless tiny swords cutting his organs, bones, flesh and blood. He could not gather his Zhen Yuan at all. Piss off. Savage Bear King could only watch Spirit Bear King being wounded badly. He could not save him in time, so he roared and threw out a punch at Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen's body flashed once, disappearing from his sight. The next second, 2 intersecting sword marks appeared on Savage Bear King's chest. It looked horrifying, as if his whole body was about to be torn apart. Boom. He was shot out and embedded into the ground. You guys are up next. Yi Chen's body flashed left and right, avoiding the incoming attacks. He turned his head and looked at Ling Huho and the Great Master of the Extreme Heaven Martial School. Junior, don't be arrogant. The highest elder of the Extreme Heaven sect was furious. He leaped up, and his right leg was like a fully drawn bowstring, kicking hundreds of times in the direction of Yi Chen. The shadows of his legs were like a meteor shower, covering everything. There was no way to dodge or retreat. One strike is enough. Yi Chen's body emitted golden and green light. The waning moon, which contained the metal profound and the water profound, was unleashed instantly. The sky suddenly darkened and a black crescent moon appeared. Then, the shadows of the legs all over the sky shattered one after another. The great elder of the Extreme Heaven sect had his protective armor split open by the sword power that could cut everything. He was thrown high into the air and blood rained down. Stop. Yi Chen's attack was so fast and brutal that Ling Huho did not even have the time to react. He put his hands together and then separated them, and the black core energy was about to take shape in front of Yi Chen. But this time Yi Chen would not let his opponent succeed. He waved his sword and the newly formed black core energy was split into 2. Blood-severing ghost finger. The index and middle fingers of his left hand sliced across the air at Ling Huho, and Yi Chen did not look at him anymore. Ling Hu Ho had never seen such a weird martial art before. That slash from Yi Chen had created an invisible power that completely ignored his protective Zhen Yuan and semi-extreme rank armor. It went right through his body and brought out a huge amount of blood qi. The blood qi of a half-step king warrior was so powerful that even 1,000 normal people combined would not be able to compete with it. Ling Hu Ho's whole body was drowned in the blood qi, which looked like the sunset. It was then completely destroyed. Ah! He let out a low growl. Ling Hu Ho had never felt this exhausted before. He did not even have the power to lift up his hands. The blood qi inside his body had disappeared by at least 1/3. If it was reduced slowly, he would still be able to handle it. But losing 1/3 of it all at once would not only hurt his body, but also his mental state. Sudden wind feather. The Gray Eagle King and the Flying Eagle King were both eagle-type beasts. As beasts, the two of them were not even as good as normal Sea of Souls realm warriors in terms of the profound sense. In other words, their comprehensive ability was extremely low. But the advantage of beasts was not something that humans could compete with. Not only was their beast power a lot more powerful, but they also had special abilities. Among them, the Flying Eagle King's special ability was to shoot out the feathers on his wings. The sky was filled with feathers, all of them crystal clear like black jade. Yi Chen could tell that there were meridians inside the feathers, and the beast power had formed a cycle inside. Once the cycle was broken, it would explode. Not a bad special ability. Break. As Yi Chen's sword finger moved, the broken blood sword came out of its scabbard automatically. It divided into 33 sword shadows, which then formed into a sword snake. Wherever it went, all of the incoming feathers were cut in half, bringing up a firework-like pattern of beast power. It could not get close to Yi Chen at all. Go. After breaking the Flying Eagle King's special ability, the 33 sword shadows formed into a sword snake and attacked toward him. Not good. The Flying Eagle King flipped in the sky, turning into a huge eagle and was about to fly into the clouds. Swoosh. One of his wings was cut through by the sword snake and fell down. His scream could be heard even from a long distance away. You dare to hurt my nephew. Beasts were already aggressive. Seeing that his nephew's wing had been cut off by Yi Chen, the Gray Eagle King's eyes turned red. He did not care about how powerful Yi Chen was, so he attacked without any hesitation. He turned into his original form and his huge claws reached out. It was the special ability of the Gray Eagle King, Sharp Claw Hardening. Chen. Lifting up the evil shattering sword, Yi Chen blocked out that unbreakable claw attack. Die. The Gray Eagle King's two bathtub-sized claws waved crazily, turning into countless claw shadows that clashed with Yi Chen's evil shattering sword, bringing up a huge amount of sparks. Seeing the gap, Yi Chen suddenly took a step back before stabbing out a sword attack. This sword attack went through the gap between the Gray Eagle King's claws. The sword chi landed on his chest, tearing out a huge sword mark and causing feathers to fly everywhere. Come back. At the same time, Yi Chen pointed his finger back. The sword snake that had flown out for a long time turned around and sliced through the Gray Eagle King's back. Blood splashed out like a fountain as the Gray Eagle King screamed and fell down from the sky. His huge body created a deep pit on the ground, bringing up a huge wave of mud. After that, the 6 Demi-King warriors had all lost, and they were all wounded even more severely than Ling Hui. The Spirit Bear King had been pierced through the chest, and the Savage Bear King had at least a couple of his ribs broken. Even the great master of the Extreme Heaven Martial School had suffered the same fate. Ling Huho had lost more than a third of his blood qi, and his mental injury was extremely severe. His face was as white as paper. The Flying Eagle King was a bit worse off. He had lost one of his wings and it was unknown if he could reattach it. The Gray Eagle King's spine had been sliced through by the sword snake formed by the defensive sword spell, and he had lost all of his battling power. The 6 Demi-King warriors had come with an aggressive aura, but now they had all been killed. If it were not for Yi Chen holding back, none of them would have survived. The reason why Yi Chen had held back was because he knew that although the Zhang Tian martial school's current situation had something to do with the 3 martial schools, it was not a direct connection. Taking out the 3 martial schools might anger the dominator of the Iron Blood region, the Iron Paw Beast martial school. Therefore, it was not the time to make a big move yet. Letting out a deep breath, Yi Chen put his evil shattering sword back into its scabbard and said to the people from the 3 martial schools, "What are you waiting for? Piss off." The people from the 3 martial schools were all shocked. 6 Demi-King warriors. Any one of them would be powerful warriors, but in front of Yi Chen they could not even handle one attack. Each one of them was worse than the last. Who the hell is this guy? Since when does the Blood Sky Land have a human who is as powerful as the 4 demons? No, even among the 8 beast warriors or the 4 demons he would be a top warrior. Let's go. The people from the Extreme Heaven Martial School were the first to react, bringing Ling Huho and the Great Master away. Soon, the people from the Earth Bear family and the Bald Eagle Valley woke up as well, as if they were afraid that Yi Chen would kill them. They came fast and left even faster. Soon, the sky above the Mud Dragon Mountain was completely empty, with only Yi Chen left. Cheers were heard. Everyone from the Zhang Tian Martial School was overjoyed. It had been so many years and they had never been this powerful. The 3 martial schools were like chickens in Yi Chen's hands. He had scared them away without any effort. What 8 beast warriors? What 4 demons? I bet that Master Yi must be a Sky King realm martial genius on this true spirit continent. He is so powerful. The Blood Sky Land is going to change. I would like to see what would happen when the 8 beast warriors and the 4 demons run into Master Yi. It would definitely shock the whole Blood Sky Land. Everyone's respect for Yi Chen had reached a whole new level. They were almost seeing him as a god. In the distance, Li Zhangfeng, Gao Ziyuan, and the rest had already arrived. Because of the battle between Yi Chen and the 6 half-step king warriors, they did not get close to the battle. But their expressions were not any better than the others. Li Zhangfeng's eyes were even wet. Although the female disciples were all good girls, and they were not very vain, which one of them did not like powerful people? Especially Yi Chen, who was so young, only in his 20s. Therefore all of their hearts were racing, and their minds were filled with the scene of Yi Chen using his sword to attack his enemies. In their minds, Yi Chen had probably become the highest standard for them to choose a mate, just like chasing after a celebrity. Even Li Chui and Mo Xiaotang had a weird feeling. His blue robe fluttered in the wind, and his black hair was blown by the wind, looking like ink. Yi Chen did not care about everyone's expression as he said, "Since everything is done, I will not stay any longer. Leader, I will go back first." After speaking, Yi Chen's body turned into a beam of sword light and shot out. "Thank you." Li Zhangfeng looked at Yi Chen's back and said quietly. Gao Ziyuan said emotionally, "Some people are destined to be the main characters of an era, and he is one of them, right? As for me, even if I join a rank 5 martial school and have all the resources I need, I will only be able to look at his back. I will not be able to catch up to him." Even if you cannot be the main character, you can still be a side character. This is a big world, and the main characters and the side characters are always competing with each other. Do not be discouraged, or you will not even be qualified to be a side character. Li Zhangfeng reminded Gao Ziyuan. Leader is right. Ziyuan will not let you down. Chapter 840. Extreme Heaven Martial School, Bald Eagle Valley, and Earth Bear Family. These 3 rank 6 powers were not only the top 3 in the Iron Blood region, but also the top 10 among all the rank 6 powers in the entire Blood Skyland. Originally, these 3 powers were targeting Zhang Tian Martial School, and those who knew about it all felt that it was too much of a bully. Were they not pushing Zhang Tian Martial School to a dead end? So cruel. However, there was a recent secret that shocked everyone. The 3 martial schools had gone to the Zhang Tian Martial School aggressively, wanting to take over the spirit vein that the school had found. But in the end they had all run away. According to the rumors, it was a young man who had beaten all the half-step king warriors of the 3 martial schools. His sword art was extremely mysterious. All in all, Yi Chen's fame had spread out in the Iron Blood region. A lot of people were guessing who Yi Chen was, since there was no such person in the Blood Skyland. Perhaps he had come from some powerful hidden martial school or family. But of course, no matter what, in the eyes of the people who knew about it, Yi Chen was already on par with the 8 beast young warriors and the 4 demons. One of the top 10 beast martial schools, the Iron Paw Beast Martial School. Inside the Iron Paw Beast Palace, the red flame lit up the wide metal walls and the metal pillars, making them look cold and intimidating. On the top seat of the palace that was dozens of floors tall, a huge minotaur was sitting. His calves were a couple of floors tall and his muscles were like hills. His skin was dark red in color and he seemed to be very hot. Are you telling the truth? Extreme Heaven Martial School, Bald Eagle Valley, and the Earth Bear family's half-step king warriors were all beaten down by a young man? The minotaur's eyes were like torches, shooting out 2 red light beams that were dozens of meters long, covering the man in the middle of the palace. The man did not dare to raise his head as he said carefully, "It is absolutely true. I would not dare to lie to you." "What kind of weapon did he use?" the minotaur asked. "Sword." "Sword?" As the minotaur's eyes opened and closed, the red light beam flashed in and out. Perhaps he is from the Sky Sword Land? In the following days, no other martial schools or people came to mess with the Zhangtian martial school. The mid-rank spirit vein under the Mud Dragon Mountain would add a lot of spirit stones to the school's storage every day, which made everyone in the school happy. In the blink of an eye, more than a month passed. This was the Blood Sky Land, the True Spirit Land, and an unknown land. In the middle of these three lands, there was a huge mountain range that was filled with ancient chi. It was indeed the Savage Mountain Range. In the sky above the Savage Mountain Range, the space was twisted, and the wind was surging. Amidst the endless thunder and lightning, a huge ancient bronze gate slowly appeared. The surface of the bronze gate was old and mottled, as if it came from the ancient times. The ancient aura that existed forever suppressed the demonic beasts in the Savage Mountain Range, causing them to not dare to move. Even the flow of time seemed to slow down. Any living creature that came to this place would feel fear from the depths of their soul. The gate of life and death had appeared. On the three continents, the situation was changing. True Spirit Continent. Swish, 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 swish. One after another, human figures rushed towards the depths of the Savage Mountain Range from all directions. These human figures were all young men, and their ages looked to be around 30 years old. Of course, their actual ages could be around 40 years old or even close to 50 years old. Some of them had cold expressions, some had fiery eyes, and the temperament they emitted was 1 in a million. Besides them, all of the young men who came to the Savage Mountain Range were half-step king warriors. Some of the older ones even had a light sense of life and death chi, which meant that their cultivation had reached the life and death challenge realm. Right then, a lot of people had already gathered beside the Bronze Gate. Among these people, a lot of them were people that Yi Chen was familiar with. Bai Wuxia Xiaohozuan, Lu Xiaoyu, Xiaochuha, Bai Minghui, Helian Wuhua, Shengguanfei, Sidu Hao, and so on. There were also some young half-step king warriors that Yi Chen had never seen before. Quite a lot of people. Bai Wuxia smiled lightly. Lu Xiaoyu glanced at the others and said coldly, "The True Spirit Continent is one of the entrances to the life and death secret realm. Everyone who is able to come here will come. I don't think anyone would give up the chance to enter the life and death secret realm. Indeed, the life and death secret realm could save us a lot of time." Bai Wuxia nodded. Boom, boom, boom. In the distance, a battle sound was suddenly heard. Two human figures kept crossing each other while sword chi and symbol palm power filled the sky. "Once we get to the life and death secret realm, I will fight with you again." Shadows overlapped as one of them landed on the peak outside the Bronze Gate. It was the former West Ocean Sword Master Lu Wujian. Of course, his cultivation had already reached the half-step king warrior level, so calling him West Ocean Sword Master was no longer appropriate. Anytime. The other person was the disciple of the Air Emperor Jiang Tian. He sneered as he landed on the peak on the other side. Although the two were not from the True Spirit Continent, the entrance to the life and death secret realm was right here, so they had to come here. Both of them were top warriors, one with a powerful sword art while the other had the power of being one with the world. They could not see eye to eye with each other, so they had fought on the way to the Savage Mountains. All of them are insane. Situ Hao, who had exchanged the defensive sword spell with Yi Chen before, made a face. He was very talented, but compared to these people he was nothing. In the sky, two light dots came from the left and right. One was blue and the other was green. One was fire and the other was water. "Yen Feng Feng is here." Bai Wuxia chuckled. "And Sharuaching." The blue flame and the green water ball landed on the ground. It was indeed Yen Feng Feng and the godly shark princess Sharuaching. Both of them were beasts and their chi was very powerful. However, just as the two landed, a red figure appeared on the other side of the sky. Everyone could tell that it was Dantai Mingyue. In terms of talent, Duguju and Dantai Mingyue were the most powerful ones in the True Spirit Continent, and no one could compete with them. Haha, piss off. All of a sudden, a dark red light shadow shot out, blowing away Jiang Tian, who did not manage to dodge in time. The light shadow formed and it turned out to be a red-haired teenager. It was Chu Zhongtian. "You are looking for death." Jiang Tian was not wounded at all. He flew in the sky, staring at Chu Zhongtian with a pale face. Chu Zhongtian chuckled. "I have just reached the half-step king realm not too long ago, and my hands are itching. Come on. I would like to see how powerful you are." "What? He has just reached the half-step king realm and he is already this powerful?" Every single one of them was a dragon among men. Hearing Chu Zhongtian's words, they were all shocked. Jiang Tian's cultivation had already reached the top-rank half-step king warrior level, and his power was so powerful that no one in the same generation could beat him. However, Chu Zhongtian was only at the mid-rank half-step king warrior level, and he had somehow blown away Jiang Tian without giving him the time to dodge. Evil spirit body. No wonder. Bai Wuxia shook his head and forced a smile. This kind of body type would make even the gods jealous. As an evil spirit body, Chu Zhongtian's cultivation base was extremely hard to increase. However, the process from peak level late Sea of Soul realm to half-step king warrior realm was much easier for an evil spirit body. After all, as long as the Zhen Yuan formed a perfect circulation in the blood, it would be fine. In fact, because of his evil spirit body, Chu Zhongtian had an easier time reaching the half-step king realm, because his heart was just too powerful. It was an advantage that no one else had. Bastard. 100 symbol palm. Jiang Tian was not someone who would not fight back after suffering a loss. He waved his hand and a sky-covering symbol palm power attacked toward Chu Zhongtian. Compared to the 5 symbol palm, the 100 symbol palm's power was more than 2 times more powerful. He was so angry that he performed his ace attack right from the start. Hee good timing. A great rapier appeared in Chu Zhongtian's hand, which he threw out a sword attack. The dark red light was bright and horrifying. It was like a dark red sun had exploded, drowning the symbol palm power completely. Jiang Tian was not easy to deal with either. Although the symbol palm power had dissipated a lot, under his control, the rest of it formed into a massive symbol, battling against the dark red light. It was the first time the two had exchanged attacks and it looked like they were on par. Don't block the way. Chu Zhongtian was arrogant, but there was another warrior who was even more aggressive. 1,000 meters long pale blade light sliced through the sky, slicing through the space between the two. Boom. Chu Zhongtian and Jiang Tian separated. Duguju, whose hair had turned white, walked over with pride. His aura was horrifying, and being stared at by him would make anyone feel like they had fallen into hell. After Yi Chen had left, Duguju's power had improved tremendously. Before, he was still not an opponent for Lu Wujian. But in the battle half a year ago, Lu Wujian had lost the upper hand. Oh, very powerful. Chu Zhongtian licked his lips. The life and death secret realm was about to open. Actually, no one was planning to fight there and it was just for show. Therefore, Chu Zhongtian and Jiang Tian took the opportunity to stop fighting. After about 15 minutes, 7 human figures appeared from afar. They were indeed the young warriors who had the life and death chi on them. There were 5 males and 2 females. It is Luo Qiandu and the rest. Bai Wuxia looked serious. Although these people had not appeared in front of them in the past few years, those who knew about them all knew who they were. They were the young martial geniuses of the previous generation who had entered the life and death secret realm before, and they were already half-step king warriors. As half-step king warriors, they would naturally not be in the same group as them back then. After all, half-step king warriors and Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to compete with each other. Among these 7, Luo Qiandu was the most powerful one, ranked second on the life and death realm warrior list. The other 6 were all on the list as well. Shenho, Thunder Spirit King and Luo Qiandu. They were all in the same generation. But back then Shenho was just too amazing. Yeah. To be honest, Luo Qiandu had entered the life and death secret realm less than Shenho, but they were still in the same generation after all. Shenho and Luo Qiandu were just like us and Luo Qiandu. There was a gap of 10 years in between. Everyone was discussing as they looked at the 7 people who had just arrived. Young people nowadays are all so hot-tempered. The long-haired young man next to Luo Qiandu cracked a smile as he glanced over at Chu Zhongtian, Jiang Tian, and Duguju. Luo Qiandu sneered, as if you are very old. Hee compared to them we are considered old. If we were normal people we would be around 50 years old. Chapter 841. For ordinary people 50 years was half of their life. But for them it was 1/6 of their life, and they were still young and promising. If they could enter the life and death realm one day and become a king, then 50 years would be nothing. The life and death secret realm contains life and death stones, which can help us understand life and death and improve our mental state. Unfortunately, there are too many monks and not enough meat, so half of the people will not be able to get one. Brother Luo, you are at the peak of the 3rd layer of life and death challenge. As long as you get a few more stones, you might be able to become a king warrior in the life and death secret realm. Life and death realm is not that easy to reach. Luo Qiandu forced a smile. When he was at the top half-step king warrior level, he would have a 90% chance of reaching the 1st layer of life and death challenge with 1 stone. But, from the 1st layer to the 2nd layer, even 2 stones would not be enough. From the 2nd layer to the 3rd layer, the number of stones needed would be doubled, and from the peak of the third layer to the true life and death realm, it would not be enough with just stones. It would also require a bit of luck. Moreover, there were not all the stones in the life and death secret realm. Every time, more than half of the people would not be able to get one, and most of them would only have one stone. Only a small portion of them would have more than 2 stones, and their mental state and power would increase drastically. The 7 were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, 7 figures had already appeared beside the bronze door. By Wuxia Lu Xiaoyu, the 4 of you have been competing against each other for more than 10 years. This is really rare. Luo Qindu sized up by Wuxia and the other 3 with a smile. Perhaps it is fate. The long-haired teenager beside Luo Qindu laughed as well. By Wuxia Lu Xiaoyu, Xia Hozuan and Xiao Chuha. The 4 had always been at the same level since they were young, and the gap between them was not that big. After decades, although these 4 were no longer at their peak and had been surpassed by Yi Qin, Du Gujue and Dantai Mingyue, the competition between them had never stopped. Having opponents is not necessarily a bad thing. Don't you think so, Brother Luo? Brother was a respectful title, and it did not mean that only people in the same sect could call each other that. Bai Wuxue was 10 years younger than Luo Qindu, so calling him brother was not wrong. You're right. Luo Qindu nodded. You are already half-step king warriors. As long as your luck is not bad, you should be able to obtain a life and death stone. Who knows, you might even be able to exchange pointers with us. Life and death realm was simply too hard to reach. Even Luo Tian couldn't guarantee that he could become a life and death realm king. In this way, the gap between him and Bai Wuxue would be getting smaller and smaller. Sooner or later they would reach the same level, and by then they would be in a competitive relationship. Those young men seemed to be in a very bad mood. The long-haired young man looked at Duguju Chu Zhongtian, and the others with a smile. Bai Wuxue said, I am ashamed. We are not a match for them. Without a doubt, Duguju, Dantai Mingyue, Chu Zhongtian, Lu Wujian, and Jiang Tian were all top young warriors at the same level. Yin Fengfeng could barely be considered as well. Then, it would be the top 5 young warriors and a couple of top martial geniuses like Bai Minghui. Then, it would be the rest of the young warriors. Chu Zhongtian could tell from these people's eyes that they were talking about him and Duguju. He made a face but did not say anything. He could indeed battle above his realm, but it depended on who his opponent was. As a martial genius himself, Luo Qindu also had the power to battle above his realm. Plus, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 3rd level of the life and death challenge. If Chu Zhongtian went up, he might not even be able to handle one attack. If he wanted to fight against them, his cultivation would have to reach the life and death challenge at least. Just like Chu Zhongtian, Duguju, Jiang Tian, and the rest of them all remained silent. There were more and more people arriving at the Bronze Gate. Not only from the True Spirit Continent, but also from the ocean region near the True Spirit Continent. The True Spirit Continent had the most people, about 30 of them. Half of them were young and old martial geniuses. Adding those from the ocean region or the deep ocean, there were more than 50 of them. Moreover, there would be 1 or 2 people arriving every second. Some of them had extremely horrifying chi, but not many people could recognize them. After all, the deep ocean martial geniuses did not have much contact with the True Spirit Continent. Crack. Time passed like water. When it was almost dusk, the ancient Bronze Gate suddenly opened. That ancient voice made everyone's heart skip a beat. The life and death gate is open. Let's go in. Luo Qindu and the other 6 entered the gate first. Then the rest of the people entered one after another. Soon there were only a few people outside the gate. It seems like he is not coming. Chu Zhongtian sighed as he entered the gate. You should not miss it, right? Duguju was the last to enter. After everyone had entered, the Bronze Gate did not close. Because the sun had not set yet, the world had not fallen into darkness yet. In the distance, a silhouette rapidly approached. The silhouette landed on the ground. It was Yi Chen's acquaintance, the Crown Prince of the Blackwater Alliance, Wang Tai. Life and Death Secret Realm. If you miss it once, you might miss it for the rest of your life. That kid has most likely entered, saving me the trouble of looking for him. A sneer appeared on Wang Tai's face. As the strongest, half-step king, he was also on the life and death substitute list, ranked 8th. In his eyes, even if Yi Chen became a half-step king, he would not be his opponent. At that time he would make Yi Chen spit out genuine crystals with interest. Just as he was about to enter the gate, Wang Tai sensed something and turned his head. A dazzling golden flame pierced through the air. Within the flame was a tall and slender figure with hair as black as ink. A body refining expert. Wang Tai's brows twitched. Miss, I'm Wang Tai. I wonder. With a smile, Wang Tai blocked the bronze gate, intending to make friends. Scram. The golden flame was like a hot knife cutting through butter, completely ignoring Wang Tai and directly entering the bronze gate. Brushed by the flame, Wang Tai miserably rolled on the ground, his face pale. Damn it! Who is this woman? Wang Tai's complexion was unsightly. He had intended to make friends, but was unexpectedly pushed away by the other party. However, the other party's strength truly startled him. Merely being brushed by the golden flame caused his blood to boil, as if the other party was not a human but a dragon. Humph! With a light snort, Wang Tai followed in. Blood Sky Continent. A large number of young half-step kings were gathered outside the bronze gate of Desolate Mountain. Apart from the 8 young beast lords and 4 demons, there were also some geniuses who were not as famous as them. Some were from Blood Sky Continent, while others were from the ocean. Ling Hui, you said you were defeated by a single person. I wonder if that's true? Young Tiger Lord's bare arms and chest were covered in fierce tiger stripes. He grinned and said. Ling Hui indifferently said, no need for your concern. No matter what, we're from the same continent. That kid's origin is mysterious. If I encounter him, perhaps I'll help you vent some anger. Let's talk about it when you encounter him. A strange light flickered in Ling Hui's eyes. He was more or less clear about Yi Chen's strength. In his opinion, young Tiger Lord would most likely suffer a bit if he encountered Yi Chen. Of course, this had nothing to do with him and he had no obligation to tell him. Young Tiger Lord, be careful not to fail miserably. These days, anything can happen. Lan Sanmei flicked the hair on his forehead that had been messed up by the wind and said indifferently. Failure miserably is the behavior of a fool. Do you think such a thing would happen to me? Young Tiger Lord smiled disdainfully. That's not necessarily true. Lan Sanmei revealed a mocking expression. Young Tiger Lord fiercely glared at Lan Sanmei. The latter's words were clearly directed at him. What? I'm just speaking the truth. In half a month, although Yi Chen's deeds had not spread throughout the Blood Sky Continent, as a disciple of demonic blade sect, how could Lan Sanmei not know about it? When she heard the news, she immediately thought of Yi Chen. In her opinion, only Yi Chen had this kind of strength and he came from another place. Young Tiger Lord did not want to argue with Lan Sanmei. She was the head disciple of demonic blade sect, and although she looked like a flower, her temperament was extremely savage. He was not ready to have a falling out with her. Once he entered the life and death secret realm and obtained some life and death stones, he would deal with her properly. From afar, Yi Chen could see the bronze gate towering between heaven and earth, as well as the numerous young experts standing outside of it. Quite a lot of people. Yi Chen mumbled to himself. Yi Chen's arrival was naturally seen by others. I've never seen this person before. The gazes of the 8 young beast lords, 4 demons, and numerous young experts all landed on Yi Chen's body. Some were curious, some were malicious, and some were kind. Ling Hui clenched his fists and sucked in a deep breath. He had not broken through to the life and death chamber, so he could not be Yi Chen's opponent. However, he would definitely settle this score. You're here. Lan Sanmei sensed that Yi Chen's aura had increased by a large margin. He was clearly a high-level half-step king, but he did not know what level his strength had reached. Life and death secret realm only happens once every 10 years. How could I miss it? Yi Chen smiled at Lan Sanmei. Indeed. Only the life and death secret realm can shorten the time needed to enter the life and death realm. Lan Sanmei and Yi Chen were chatting happily, which surprised many people. Demoness Blade Lan Sanmei was definitely not a kind person. It was rare to see her talking normally with someone of the opposite sex. Sister Lan, who is he? Why don't you introduce him? While the two were talking, a tall, green-haired youngster walked over. Those who knew him couldn't help but sigh. This green-haired youngster was none other than the head of the 4 demons, young Undying Demon Lord. The matter of young Undying Demon Lord pursuing Lan Sanmei was known to almost everyone. Lan Sanmei frowned. He is my friend Yi Chen. It is brother Yi. If there is a chance, let's get to know each other. Sister Lan and you can chat, so I should be able to chat with you as well. The teenager said with a hint, as if he was telling Yi Chen that Lan Sanmei had a good relationship with him, so it would be better for him to understand. The life and death gate is about to open, right? Yi Chen moved away from him and looked at the bronze gate. Everyone was shocked. This Yi Chen was way too arrogant. The teenager was a bit shocked as well, but he soon covered up the awkwardness and looked at Yi Chen with a cold light flashing through his eyes. As the sun set, The bronze gate suddenly opened with an ancient aura. Chapter 842. Haha, the life and death gate is open. This is my first time entering the life and death secret realm. There were nearly 50 young half-step kings gathered outside the gate. Seeing the gate open, they all flew into the gate like swallows returning to their nest, disappearing without a trace. The young undying demon lord glanced at Yi Chen and said to Lan Sanmei, "Sister Lan, I'll go first. Remember to look for me once you're inside." The life and death gate was only a transportation gate. Entering at the same time would result in a different destination. Therefore, there was no need for the young undying demon lord to enter with Lan Sanmei, so he flew in first. "Yi Chen, I'll go first." Lan Sanmei was a few years older than Yi Chen, and her cultivation base had reached the peak of the first layer. However, just like Yi Chen, it was her first time seeing the life and death secret realm open. Lan Sanmei's body flickered as she shot into the gate. Yi Chen faintly nodded as he watched everyone enter the gate, including Shi Xiaobao of the Golden Lion race. The life and death secret realm opens once every 10 years for 3 months. I wonder if the demonic human emperor will let Murong come. After waiting for a while, the sun gradually set, and the gate also showed signs of closing. Smiling bitterly, Yi Chen didn't want to wait any longer. His body flickered as he flew into the gate. Right at this moment, the gate closed with a loud bang, disappearing into the void. This was an extremely strange plane. It wasn't unreasonable to say that it was strange. On the ground, there were places that were lush with green grass and full of life. There were also places that were barren and desolate. There wasn't a clear dividing line between the two. Because at this moment, this place might still be green, but in the next moment, the green grass might instantly wither and dissipate, while in the desolate place, tender shoots would instantly grow. The tender shoots would grow at an astonishing speed, and in a short while, the green grass would cover the ground. Life and death. Flourishing and withering. It was happening all the time. What a great secret realm. Yi Chen, who had just arrived, was shocked by this scene. Growing a plant and making it flourish was something that he, who had comprehended the wood profound, could do as well. However, it would be impossible for him to do as he did in the life and death secret realm, allowing nature to take its course. Life and death secret realm seemed to contain the cycle of life and death. Life was not the beginning and death was not the end. Life and death were merely a cycle. Screech. Suddenly, a soul-piercing eagle cry came from above his head. Yi Chen looked up and saw an eagle form in the sky, where clear and turbid air currents intertwined. The eagle's body was blurry and didn't seem to be alive, but its speed was incomparably fast. A moment ago, it was 10,000 zhang high in the sky, and in the next moment, its claws were less than 3 feet away from Yi Chen's head. Yi Chen did not dare to be careless. He instantly unsheathed his evil vanquishing sword and stabbed the eagle's chest. Puchi. Without spilling any blood, the goshawk's body turned blurry and eventually turned into a 2-colored airflow, which dispersed into the universe. This was the chi of life and death. The goshawk was formed by the chi of life and death. Seems like I can't be careless. This is only the outer area of the life and death secret realm, and the evil spirit here has the strength of a mid-level half-step king. Normal half-step king warriors would be clawed to death without any powerful tricks. Life and death evil spirits were formed by the chi of life and death. They were non-living creatures that could only survive in the life and death secret realm. Unfortunately, it has just been formed. Although it is powerful, there is no life and death stone in its body. Yi Chen shook his head. The life and death secret realm contained life and death stones, which were usually born in the bodies of evil spirits. Normally, evil spirits with life and death stones would be extremely hard to destroy. For example, if that goshawk evil spirit had a life and death stone in its body, Yi Chen wouldn't have been able to destroy it with one sword attack. After flying for a while, a shocking energy vibration exploded in the distant sky. Someone was fighting. Fighting as soon as I entered? Could it be that they found the life and death stone? His eyebrows twitching, Yi Chen increased his speed instead of slowing down, turning into a beam of sword light. On a boundless plain, 2 figures continuously clashed with each other. Violent shockwaves spread out everywhere, creating huge craters on the plain. This life and death stone was obtained by me after killing so many evil spirits. If you know what's good for you, leave now. Otherwise, there will only be one of us. The yellow-robed youngster scolded the brown-robed youngster while exchanging blows. The brown-robed youngster sneered, "Winner takes all. Life and death stone is not something you can have. Let me take care of it for you." "Bastard. You are going too far." The yellow-robed youngster was furious. The life and death secret realm was divided into 3 areas: the core area, the inner area, and the outer area. If the whole secret realm was a circle, then the core area would naturally be in the middle, while the inner area would be between the core area and the outer area. The outer area was the safest, but correspondingly, it also had the least amount of life and death stones. Those who did not have enough power and could only stay in the outer area would not be able to get a life and death stone. If they could get a life and death stone, then it would be a sign of extreme luck. The yellow-robed youngster found an evil spirit as soon as he entered. Thinking that he might be lucky, he fought with this evil spirit for 300 rounds before finally killing it. What made him ecstatic was that there was indeed a life and death stone inside this evil spirit's body, one that could possibly allow him to reach the life and death challenge realm. Unfortunately, the life and death stone was discovered before it could even warm up. Peng 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 peng. The two exchanged blows crazily, the shockwaves of their battle shaking the plain within hundreds of miles. It was as if there were countless elephants running through it. Die. The yellow-robed youngster had fought with the evil spirit before, so he was slightly wounded. After a long battle, the brown-robed youngster found a gap and punched him in the chest. Puking out a mouthful of blood, the yellow-robed youngster was blown backward. Following closely behind, the brown-robed youngster threw another punch at the head of the yellow-robed youngster. All of a sudden, the aggressive fist power shattered the head of the yellow-robed youngster. Then a strange scene happened. After the yellow-robed youngster's head exploded, his whole body started to fade, and so did the blood mist. A life and death stone surrounded by 2 colored chi flows floated in the air. Holding the life and death stone in his hand, the brown-robed youngster laughed out loud. With this life and death stone, as long as his luck was not bad, he would be able to reach the life and death challenge realm. After all, those who came to the life and death secret realm all had extremely high potential. Even without the life and death stone, they would still have a great chance of reaching the life and death challenge realm. The life and death stone could only save them a lot of time. Of course, what the martial geniuses lacked was time. Someone is coming. The brown-robed youngster's expression changed. The life and death stone merged with his body, and his speed increased drastically. Within a blink of an eye, he had disappeared into the horizon. He sure runs fast. From afar, Yichen had arrived. Looking at the place where the brown-robed youngster had disappeared, he felt a bit regretful. One life and death stone had a 90% chance of helping a high-rank half-step king warrior reach the life and death challenge realm. Although it only referred to the martial geniuses and not all of the high-rank half-step king warriors, everyone who came here was a martial genius. Inside the savage mountains of the Blood Sky Land, the place where the life and death door had once appeared, pop. The space twisted and a yellow-robed youngster appeared. Damn. If I don't take revenge, I will not be a human anymore. The yellow-robed youngster had an evil look on his face. There were not many life and death stones in the outer area of the life and death secret realm, so Yichen did not want to waste any more time here. 1,000-year life grass. Life fruit. The life and death secret realm was not a dead land. There were also some spirit medicines here. The life grass and the life fruit had the effect of healing wounds. Once they reached a certain age, they could even grow bones from the dead, which made them extremely valuable. Spirit medicines and fruits that could heal wounds were extremely rare, so Yichen would naturally not let them go, so he put them all away. Continuing forward, Yichen scanned the surroundings with his soul power from time to time, maintaining a range that would not consume too much soul power and would not miss any treasures nearby. As his soul power scanned over a rock, Yichen seemed to have discovered something and scanned it again. Such a dense death chi. Stopping his body, Yichen landed beside the rock. This rock was ordinary and gray-white in color. But if one looked closely, they would discover that there was a faint gray aura lingering on its surface. As soon as this gray aura came into contact with the nearby vegetation, it would immediately wither away, and the earth would lose all life. Rise. Yichen reached out his palm and a suction force appeared. Rumble. A huge rock shot out of the ground and Yichen held it in his right hand. With a light shake of his palm, the rock shattered. Within the shattered rock was a palm-sized profound black iron ore. On the surface of the iron ore, there was a gray chi flowing in and out as if it was breathing. As soon as Yichen's Jin Yuan came in contact with it, it showed signs of breaking apart. Death Chi Iron. Yichen slowly spat out a word. Death Chi Iron was one of the extreme rank metals. Although it was not listed in the top 10 mystical metals, it was still a rare extreme rank metal. Yi Qin had the sword forging art, and in the future when he wanted to forge extreme rank swords, he would have a huge demand for extreme rank metals. To him, this death chi iron was not much weaker than the life and death stone. Hehe, your luck is not bad to be able to find such a huge piece of death chi iron. After refining it, you will be able to obtain a Longan-sized piece of death chi iron. Let's make a deal, 5 million upper rank soul stones, sell this to me. Not far away a figure flew over. He stared at the death chi iron in Yi Chen's hand with greed in his eyes. 5 million upper rank soul stones, are you trying to chase away a beggar? Yi Chen had long since noticed him. Since the two of them didn't have any conflicts of interest before, they didn't clash even though they weren't far apart. I am the head disciple of the White Wolf Beast sect. People call me Young Wolf. I believe you have heard of my name. Give me some face and sell it to me for 5 million upper rank soul stones. The White Wolf Beast sect was one of the top 10 beast sects, and Young Wolf was one of the top 8 beast sections. Most people would be afraid of these two names and then make the right choice. After saying this, Young Wolf stared at Yi Chen with a smile, waiting for the latter to hand over the death chi iron. Chapter 843. 500 million top-rank soul stones and I will sell it to you. Yi Chen sneered. So, you are not going to give me face? The wolf warrior's expression froze. Although the death chi iron was an extreme rank metal, it would not be worth 500 million top-rank soul stones. Yi Chen was just making fun of him and did not plan to sell it to him at all. So what if I am? Putting away the death chi iron, or Yi Chen looked at him lightly. I will give you 5 million top-rank soul stones in exchange for a peaceful situation. What a great thing. But, since you are so shameless, then I will not give you any face either. Right now, even if you beg me for the death chi iron, it would still be useless. The wolf warrior's expression turned evil as two white fangs appeared on the corner of his mouth. You really think you are somebody? Among the 8 beast warriors, the elephant warrior was the strongest, followed by the snake warrior, then the eagle warrior, and then the tiger warrior. The rest of the 4 did not have a ranking, and the wolf warrior was one of them. If he could not even handle one wolf warrior, then there would be no point for Yi Chen. Obviously this wolf warrior thought too highly of himself. You are looking for death. The wolf warrior squeezed his eyes as his body suddenly disappeared from where he was standing. When he reappeared, he was already 10 meters away from Yi Chen. He stretched out his right hand. His originally human palm suddenly expanded and turned into a giant wolf claw. The claws were extremely sharp, like 4 sharp blades flickering with cold light. They were at least a foot long, and wherever they passed the space was distorted and dispersed into ripples. The wolf warrior attacked without any hesitation, and normal people would not be able to handle it. Die. The claw light approached Yi Chen within a second, scratching through Yi Chen's body. 4 beams of cold light flashed through Yi Chen's body, and his body seemed to have been torn apart. However, the wolf warrior saw it and could not help but feel a chill in his heart. If it were a real body, how could there be no blood coming out? Even if there was no blood, there should at least be some resistance, since the protective layer of a half-step king warrior was not made of tofu. Shadow? The wolf warrior's expression changed drastically as he suddenly turned around and waved his claws. Too slow. In his sight, Yi Chen stabbed out with his great sword. In the midair, a cold star appeared, which was the sign of the extreme speed of the sword art. Puchi. The evil vanquishing sword pierced into the wolf young master's shoulder, and the wolf young master's sharp claws missed, not even touching Yi Chen's body. You can't escape. As one of the 8 young demon lords, Lang Xiao was no ordinary demon beast. He opened his mouth at Yi Chen and a green light ball formed in his throat, ready to be shot out. The distance between the two of them was only a few feet. At such a close distance, young wolf master did not think that Yi Chen could escape the bombardment of the roaring bomb. Yes. Have you forgotten that you are a demonic beast? As the thought flashed through his mind, Yi Chen shook the evil vanquishing sword in advance. Under the influence of the sword, Lang Xiao's body was slightly twisted, and the blue light ball's trajectory was also slightly changed. It brushed past Yi Chen's shoulder, creating sparks as it rubbed against his protective Zhen Yuan. Missing the first attack, Lang Xiao hurriedly backed out. Because of his extreme speed, when his body was separated from the sword, a stream of blood shot out of his body, which made his face go pale. What made his face turn even paler was that he managed to pull an inch of distance away from the evil shattering sword, but after that, no matter how hard he tried, he could not pull it any further. It was because Yi Chen had caught up with him the second he stepped back. Such a horrifying reaction made the wolf warrior secretly regret. If he had known that Yi Qin was this powerful, he would not have gone against him for a death chi iron ore. This is my fault. The death chi iron ore belongs to you. I will leave immediately. Since things had reached this point, Lang Xiao knew that it would be better for him to leave first. Although the life and death secret realm could not actually kill people, once one was fatally wounded they would be transported out. At that time the life and death stone would not be his anymore. As for after leaving, he would try his best to get a life and death stone as soon as possible and increase his cultivation to the first level of the life and death challenge. By then it would not be too late to find Yi Qin for revenge. You will leave. Leave the life and death secret realm. Yi Qin's speed increased drastically as his sword light sliced through the Lang Xiao's neck. A huge head was tossed into the air. Lang Xiao's body started to fade, eventually disappearing from the life and death secret realm. Putting his sword back into its scabbard, Yi Qin appeared behind where Lang Xiao had disappeared. Dealing with these beasts, I should be clean. Yi Qin was very clear about Lang Xiao's power. As a beast, Lang Xiao did not even have the chance to turn into his original form, nor did he have the chance to use his beast power. Because of his carelessness, he did not have the time to use his power. By the time he wanted to, it was already too late. After all, Yi Qin's sword art was extremely fast, so how could he have the chance to use his real power? In other words, Lang Xiao had been wronged. Of course. It did not mean that Lang Xiao had lost unjustly. It was just that he had lost too fast and he had only attacked twice. Inside the savage mountains, boom. A huge mountain had been shattered, and Lang Xiao was shaking with anger. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I have been teleported out of the life and death secret realm. I have waited for 10 years and this is the result. I am not willing. I am not willing. Lang Xiao roared into the sky, his voice horrifying. Just you wait. My white wolf beast martial school will not let you go. Once I find out who you are, your death will come very soon. Lang Xiao's eyes were full of hatred. Without the life and death stone, it would take him a lot more time to reach the life and death challenge realm. He was afraid that once the life and death secret realm closed, his ranking would be at the bottom, which was something he could not accept. Even if you reach the life and death challenge realm, you will still die if you meet a real beast king. His body flashed as he left the savage mountains, flying toward the white wolf beast martial school. Killing the wolf warrior was just a small thing for him, so he did not really care about it. The life and death secret realm only opened once every 10 years, and he wanted to use this opportunity to increase his cultivation to the life and death challenge realm as soon as possible. Of course, the first level was not his ultimate goal. His ultimate goal was the third level of the life and death challenge realm. Only by reaching the third level would he have the confidence to compete with life and death realm warriors. Let's go to the inner area first. The outer area was extremely vast. In the next couple of days, Yi Qin did not see a single person, but a couple of evil spirits. However, the chances of the evil spirits having life and death stones in the outer area were too low. Out of 100 of them, there might not even be one with life and death stones in their bodies. That man who had managed to get a life and death stone a couple of days ago was really lucky. On this day, Yi Qin finally saw some human figures, and it was not just one or two but a whole group of them. This place was right next to the two-colored sky curtain. It was hard to tell how tall and how long it was, as it separated the inner area from the outer area. According to the Battle King's memory, Yi Qin knew that these two-colored sky curtains were formed by the life and death chi. Trying to break it by force would be suicide. If one wanted to enter the inner area, he would have to go through the life and death bridge that connected the outer area and the inner area. Right then, on the other side of the bridge, there were dozens of human figures gathered. They were all the young martial geniuses he had seen in the savage mountains of the Blood Sky land. I do not believe that a mere life and death bridge can stop me. One person paced around the side of the bridge for a long time. Finally, he made up his mind and walked onto the bridge with a determined expression. Landing on the ground, Yi Qin watched how the person was going to cross the bridge. Oh, it's you. The teenager in black standing in front of Yi Qin turned around to look at Yi Qin, a smile appearing on his face. You are Tai Quangzuan? Yi Qin could tell that he was not a beast, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the second level of the life and death challenge. In the entire Blood Sky land, only Tai Quangzuan seemed to fit the description. After all, he had seen the undying demon lord Lan Sanmei and Ling Hu Yi among the four demons. However, he was not sure, since there were not only the martial geniuses from the Blood Sky land, but also some martial geniuses from the ocean. Not bad. Tai Quangzuan laughed. This is the first time I have seen someone ignore the undying demon lord right in front of his face. You are my type. People respect me, I will respect them back 10 times. That is all. Hee hee, but you have to be careful. The undying demon lord is very powerful, and it has already reached a critical point. His undying demon art has made him invincible. Although I do not know what gives you the confidence to go against him, I would still advise you to increase your cultivation as soon as possible. The Tai Quangzuan in front of him and the one in the rumors seem to be two different people. According to the rumors, Tai Quangzuan had mastered the ability to turn into a demon without losing his mind, which made him arrogant and crazy. However, the one in front of him, Yi Chen, could feel a trace of kindness from him. Thanks for the reminder. Yi Chen nodded. Alright, I will not say any more. I believe that you are not that kind of reckless person. Tai Quangzuan turned around and looked at the teenager on the bridge. The bridge was not that long. From this side, one could see the other side of the inner area, which was only 100 meters long. The teenager on the bridge had only taken a few steps when he was attacked by the first wave of attacks. The stone statues on both sides of the bridge seemed to have come to life as they opened their mouths and shot out beams of light wave after wave. The light wave was extremely dense and powerful, and the teenager was blown back while puking out a mouthful of blood. Damn. The bridge is too narrow. There is no place to dodge. The teenager was very unwilling, but he did not want to try anymore. It was only the first wave of attacks. Even if he could survive the first wave, he would not be able to survive the second and third wave. If he was killed and teleported out of the secret realm, it would be a huge loss for him. After all, there was still hope of getting life and death stones in the outer area. I will go first, Tai Quangzuan said to Yi Chen before stepping onto the bridge. As the second of the 4 demons, the attack from the life and death bridge was just child's play to Tai Quangzuan. In just a moment, Tai Quangzuan crossed the bridge and entered the inner area. It seems like it is not that hard. As Yi Chen was about to step onto the bridge, a human figure suddenly flew over his head and landed on the bridge. Just like Tai Quangzuan, this person did not care about the attacks from the bridge at all. When he reached the middle of the bridge, he turned around and smiled creepily. He then waved his hand and created a layer of chi wall on the bridge. He then placed a couple of crystals on the 4 corners of the chi wall to stabilize it. I will leave you guys with a greeting gift. As he spoke, he crossed the bridge and arrived on the other side. Damn. Who is this guy? The bridge was already hard to cross, and now there was a chi wall in the middle of it. Was he trying to make it impossible for them to cross? Chapter 844. I know him. He is Duan Lang, ranked 13th on the Life and Death Realm substitute list. Among all the Life and Death Realm warriors, he likes to hurt others the most. Last time when the Life and Death Secret Realm was opened, a lot of people had been hurt by him and wasted a lot of time. The speaker was a young man who looked like he was in his 30s, but his real age was probably in his 50s. Thinking about it, he had also been in the Life and Death Secret Realm last time, and he might have been hurt by Duan Lang or seen others suffer. This Duan Lang is so evil. His cultivation is at the 2nd level of the Life and Death Challenge. Why would he want to mess with us? So despicable. Let's break this chi wall together. The bridge stops people from going through, but it should not stop chi power from going through, right? Someone suggested. Yeah, use chi power to attack from afar. There are so many of us here. If we spend some time, we will be able to break this chi wall easily. Hearing him, everyone's eyes brightened. It's useless. Yi Chen shook his head. Useless? Have you tried it before? These people turned around and looked at Yi Chen. The Life and Death Bridge. No matter if it is a human or a power, they will not be able to go through without any problems because the stone statues on both sides of the bridge will attack the power as well. The chi wall will not be attacked because it is a safe area. As he spoke, Yi Chen waved his hand and a chi power shot out. Boom, boom, boom. When that chi power arrived on the bridge, the stone statues on both sides opened their mouths and shot out beams of light, destroying that chi power. What? Even chi power could not go through? Damn. This Duan Lang is so annoying. It seems like we should go look for other bridges unless we can wait for a top half-step king warrior to show up. Only they would be able to break this chi wall. Let's go. Let's not waste time here. Some of them were preparing to leave. No need to look for other bridges. I can break this chi wall. It was indeed Yi Chen who was talking. He started walking on the bridge step by step. When he arrived on the bridge, the stone statues on both sides shot out beams at him. However, before they could even get close to Yi Chen, they were all cut in half, as if there was an invisible sword net covering Yi Chen. Such a fast sword speed. Among those present, which of them wasn't a genius and a half-step king? Therefore, although they couldn't see the trajectory of Yi Chen's sword, they could at least see Yi Chen's sword. Yi Chen's sword, which had been launched later, arrived first. It was unknown how many times he had slashed in an instant, breaking through the first wave of attacks. Soon Yi Chen arrived next to the Qi wall. Yi Chen swung his sword diagonally without the need to accumulate power. A bright sword mark flashed across the Qi wall. In the next moment the Qi wall was destroyed. What a frightening sword artist. His cultivation base is only at the top half-step king realm. How can his attacking power be so powerful? Everyone was shocked. Duan Lang himself was at the second level of the life and death challenge. Although the defense of the Qi wall left behind by him could not reach this level, it would still take someone at least at the first level of the life and death challenge to break it. The Qi wall that Duan Lang had left behind was very special. It was a place that was not attacked by the stone statues. Waiting until the Qi wall was broken, Yi Chen took a step forward, and the stone statues reacted immediately. Beams of light attacked toward Yi Chen. If it were someone else, they would be able to break through the Qi wall with a little bit of time. However, they did not have the time because while they were attacking the Qi wall, the stone statues behind Yi Chen would also be attacking him. Unless they could break through the Qi wall in an instant, they would be badly wounded by the light waves behind them. In other words, once they were in the middle of the bridge, they would be attacked if they moved forward, and they would be attacked if they moved backward. If they could not make it through, they would be killed immediately. It would be impossible for them to be blown back, unless they could not even make it through the first wave of attacks. After passing through the bridge easily, Yi Chen did not even look back as he entered the inner area. As for the people behind him, they would have to rely on their own power to make it through. The number of evil spirits in the inner area was way more than the outer area. In the outer area, it would be lucky to run into one every couple of days. But in the inner area, Yi Chen would run into one almost every day. Unfortunately, even in the inner area, the chance of having a life and death stone inside the evil spirits was not that high. If 1 out of 50 evil spirits had a life and death stone, it would already be a very high chance. After killing a wild bull evil spirit, Yi Chen shook his head. It did not have a life and death stone inside its body. No wonder every time the life and death secret realm opens, more than half of the people would not be able to get a life and death stone. Among the remaining people, 60% of them would only be able to get one. In order to get a life and death stone, one would not only have to be powerful but also have to be lucky. Without luck, killing 50 of them would not be as good as killing one. The good thing is that I can stay in the life and death secret realm for 3 months. Right now, only 10 days have passed and there are still 2 months left. No rush. Yi Chen was not in a hurry at all. If he could not get a life and death stone in the inner area, there was still the core area, where the chance of getting one would be higher. It would also be a place where powerful warriors would fight for. While Yi Chen was killing evil spirits, the others were not just sitting around. This time, there were more than 150 people who had entered the life and death secret realm. There were almost 200 people, and more than half of them would be able to make it to the inner area. If it were not for the fact that the inner area was big enough, Yi Chen might be able to run into these people. Swoosh! A pale white blade light sliced through the sky and cut open a fierce tiger evil spirit's body. The fierce tiger evil spirit was extremely powerful. Even after being cut open, it did not disappear. Instead, it twisted its body and jumped toward Duguju with a roar. Die! The white-haired Duguju had a cold look on his face as his long blade sliced through the tiger evil spirit's head. Boom! The tiger evil spirit was killed immediately, and its body disappeared. After its body disappeared, a stone surrounded by 2 colored chi flows floated in the air. Life and death stone. Duguju's cold eyes slightly brightened. As the number 1 martial genius of the Dugu family, Duguju did not have as many Zhenyuan crystals as Yi Chen. But there were life and death realm warriors in the family, so some Zhenyuan crystals were more than enough for him to train. Relying on the Zhenyuan crystals and his extremely high training talent, Duguju was already at top-rank half-step king warrior level. As long as he was not too unlucky, 1 life and death stone would definitely allow him to reach the first level of the life and death challenge. This way the gap between my cultivation and theirs will be smaller. In Duguju's mind, they were the top warriors in the life and death realm substitute list. On the other side, haha, my luck is not bad. I killed 12 evil spirits and got 1 life and death stone. I have the evil spirit body. Once I reach the first level of the life and death challenge, who would be able to beat me? Chu Zhongtian had merged the life and death stone into his body. He could clearly feel that the stone was helping him to improve his mental state. It was a slow process, but it was a continuous process. No, those older generation martial geniuses are nothing to worry about. I will surpass them sooner or later. But Duguju, Dantai Mingyue, Lu Wujian, and Jiang Tian are not easy to mess with. If their realms are higher than mine, then the chance of me beating them would be very small. Chu Zhongtian's comprehensive ability was not that high. Among the people who had entered the life and death secret realm, he was probably the last one. Therefore he felt that one life and death stone was not enough. It would be best if he could get more and reach the third level of the life and death challenge. In the blink of an eye, 20 days had passed. During this time, more than half of the people who had entered the inner area had gotten one life and death stone. All of them were improving their mental states, and some of them had even increased their realms. How could one describe Yi Chen's luck? Very bad. Entering the inner area, he had killed 25 evil spirits in total, but he had not gotten even one life and death stone. 2 life and death evil spirits. I hope my luck is better. On this day, Yi Chen ran into 2 life and death evil spirits that had gathered together. This was something that had never happened before, since life and death evil spirits usually moved alone. Go! The broken blood sword was taken out of its scabbard, turning into 33 sword shadows and shooting out. Swoosh, swoosh. Under the attack of Yi Chen's defensive sword spell, the 2 evil spirits could not do anything. They were pierced through by the sword shadows and disappeared immediately. Got it? Yi Chen squeezed his eyes. After one of the evil spirits disappeared, a life and death stone floated out, releasing a 2-colored chi flow. Holding the life and death stone, Yi Chen studied it carefully. He could feel that once his soul power got close to the stone, a magical feeling would be transmitted back to him. That feeling was like going through countless life and death battles, and his mental state was slowly improving. The life and death stone allows people to feel life and death. No wonder it can improve mental state. But it is still an external item after all. With it, I can increase my cultivation by a small level. But if I want to reach the life and death realm, it is not something that the life and death stone can do. The chance is very small. Activating his Zhen Yuan, the life and death stone naturally merged into his body. Yi Chen sensitively realized that there was a faint life and death qi leaking out of his body. If one did not look carefully, it would be hard to notice. This life and death qi is released by the life and death stone automatically, so it is hard to hide. I hope no one will come looking for trouble. Yi Chen immediately understood that the life and death stone that had merged into his body could also be stolen. As long as he killed the opponent, the life and death stone inside his body would be exposed. Unless the stone's energy had been used up, it would still be useful. After half a month, some people had already gotten their second life and death stone. Although Yi Chen did not get a second life and death stone, the life and death stone inside his body had already been used up, and his cultivation had surprisingly reached the first layer of life and death challenge. The first layer of life and death challenge had doubled his Zhen Yuan. When he was a high-level half-step king warrior, he could use the evil shattering sword 10 times. But now he could use it 20 times. The quality of his Zhen Yuan had also improved a little, becoming purer than before. In addition, Yi Chen could vaguely feel that his understanding of life and death had deepened, and his usage of Zhen Yuan had naturally improved as well. The life and death challenge realm was extremely mysterious, allowing one to comprehend life and death. The gap between a high-level half-step king warrior and a strongest half-step king warrior is not small at all. Under the situation where the talent and comprehensive ability are similar, the latter can easily beat the former without any effort. With my current strength, I wonder how much of a chance I would have if I were to encounter a normal life and death realm warrior. Last time, during the battle with the demonic human king, Yi Chen had used all of his skills, including the Sky Scorpio sword. But he still could not do anything to his opponent. His opponent had been hit a few times, but it did not hurt at all. The gap was simply too huge. Chapter 845. Of course, last time, Yi Chen was at mid-rank half-step king warrior level, and now he was at the first level of the life and death challenge. The gap between them was huge, and it would be impossible for him to fight against demi-demon kings. Even normal king warriors would not have much hope, but at least there was a slight possibility. At the early rank half-step king warrior level, the Zhen Yuan would combine with the blood in the arteries, completing a cycle. At the mid-rank, the Zhen Yuan would combine with the blood in the veins. At the high rank, the Zhen Yuan would combine with the blood in the capillaries. As for the life and death challenge, the Zhen Yuan would combine with the flesh and blood in the body. Comprehending life and death was the improvement of one's mental state. With the improvement of the mental state, it would be much easier to increase one's cultivation level. The control of one's body would also be very powerful, and one would be able to look inside one's body. This was also the reason why one's cultivation could increase by leaps and bounds with a high mental state, just like the head disciple of the Zhang Tian martial school, Gao Ziyuan. After spending 3 days, Yi Qin had stabilized his cultivation, then he started to head deeper into the inner area. Perhaps it was because the life and death bridge was right in front of him, but along the way Yi Qin had run into a lot of young martial geniuses. There were beasts, humans and demi-beasts, but demi-demons were rare. Boom. After traveling for a while, an intense explosion sound was heard. The powerful chi flow spread out in all directions, and some of the plants had been uprooted. There is a battle going on. Let's go check it out. The young martial geniuses who had come to the life and death secret realm were not only here for the life and death stones, but also to witness the power of the other martial geniuses. The battle was very attractive to them, and their eyes all brightened up as their speed increased drastically. The battles in the inner area must be way more intense than the outer area, Yi Qin thought to himself. After traveling for a few thousand miles, Yi Qin arrived at the battle site. So many people? Looking around, Yi Qin was a bit surprised. In the sky above the mountain range, 2 groups of people were confronting each other. One group was led by the young tiger warrior and a hook-nosed youngster, while the other group was led by a long-haired youngster and a brown-haired woman. The young tiger warrior and the hook-nosed youngster represented the blood sky land, while the long-haired youngster and the brown-haired woman represented the true spirit continent. This was because Yi Qin saw Baiming Hui, Situ Hao and a few other familiar faces in this group. Yi Qin's arrival did not attract too much attention. Everyone's attention was on the 2 people fighting. True spirit continent's martial geniuses are nothing more than this. The young man with a horn on his head shook his long spear, and the spear light rose sharply, turning into a huge snake head that bit the short and thin young man. The short and skinny young man's protective Zhenyuan was broken, and he was sent flying back while spurting out blood. Haha. After defeating his opponent, the burly young man laughed arrogantly. The martial geniuses of the true spirit continent are too weak. They have already lost 2 battles in a row. It seems like the true spirit continent is only famous, but has been left behind by our blood sky land. Yeah, you are right. The true spirit continent indeed has a lot of martial geniuses, but not many elites. On the other hand, our blood sky land has 8 beast warriors and 4 demons, who are the elites of the elites. On the other side, the people from the blood sky land started to talk. They did not care about the martial geniuses from the true spirit continent at all. Frog in a well. Baiming Hui stood out. Who are you calling a frog in a well? The burly young man pointed his long spear at Baiming Hui. Baiming Hui sneered, I am talking about you. Don't think that just because you beat 2 people from our true spirit continent, you can show off your power. Let me tell you the truth, when you meet the real martial geniuses from our true spirit continent, you will be shocked. Swoosh. You must be joking. The burly young man did not believe him at all. Cut the crap. You use a spear and so do I. Let's see how I beat you. A silver dragon long spear appeared in Baiming Hui's hand, its body shining brightly. Bring it on. I will make sure you will be convinced. The burly young man looked a bit serious. He could feel that Baiming Hui's spear intent was very powerful. He was a real spear artist. Skybank third movement, Skybank forever separation. As soon as Baiming Hui arrived, he performed the third movement of his Skybank. His body split into 2, and the 2 of them performed the first movement at the same time. Although it was only one movement, the aura was completely different. One was in the light while the other was in the dark. The 2 auras combined together and the Skybank changed immediately. That sharp spear light expanded without a limit, expanding by hundreds of times within a second. It then shot out with its spear intent locked onto that young man. Not good. This attack is very powerful. The burly young man waved his long spear, creating a swirl in front of him, trying to devour the spear light. Boom, boom, boom. The swirl was shattered and so was the spear light. However, Baiming Hui's attack did not stop there. Skybank fourth movement, 10 directions unstoppable. If the third movement of the Skybank was the combination of 2 first movements, then the fourth movement would be the combination of 2 second movements, which would be more than twice as powerful. A couple of years ago, Baiming Hui had already created the third movement. After that, he had created some other movements as well. The fourth movement was something he had only learned not long ago. Swoosh. The burly young man blocked out 7 of the silver light beams, but the last 3 landed on his stomach and chest, blowing him away while blood puked out of his mouth. Great! Finally winning 1 round, all of the young martial geniuses from the True Spirit continent cheered. This Bai Minghui has indeed great potential. He has just reached the first level of the life and death challenge, and he already has power that is way beyond his peers. The long-haired young man said to the brown-haired lady. Yeah, among the local martial geniuses of our True Spirit continent, besides Duguju, Dantai Mingyue, Chu Zhongtian, and Yin Fengfeng, this Bai Minghui has the most potential. The brown-haired lady nodded. He has even created the 4th movement. Yichin chuckled. The higher the level, the harder it would be to create. He remembered that when Bai Minghui challenged him, he only had the 1st movement. Then he had the 2nd and 3rd movement and his progress was not slow at all. Who else wants to challenge me? Bai Minghui said with a loud voice. Me. The people from the Blood Sky Land were not convinced, so a dark-faced young man walked out. After 3 attacks, that dark-faced young man puked out a mouthful of blood as well. Bai Minghui's power was extremely famous in the whole True Spirit continent. Even compared to Du Gujue and the rest of the warriors, he was only slightly weaker. So no one could ignore him. Today was the first time he had battled with a genius from the Blood Sky Land, and he had won 2 battles in a row. It is a draw. The Blood Sky Land has won 2 rounds, and our True Spirit continent has won 2 rounds as well. As long as Bai Minghui wins 1 more round, we will have the upper hand. I wonder who will challenge us next. The martial geniuses from the True Spirit continent discussed among themselves. Never mind, it will save me the trouble. I will beat you all by myself. On his forehead, on his bare arms, there were faint tiger stripes. As soon as he stepped out, a natural tiger's might radiated out. Everyone seemed to hear the roar of a tiger coming from the void. Those who were slightly weaker couldn't even control their own bodies. On the True Spirit continent, there was a demi-beast family called the Sky Tiger race, and the Tiger Warrior's ancestor was also a Sky Tiger. The Sky Tiger bloodline flowing in his body was way richer than the demi-beast's bloodline. It would not be wrong to call him a Sky Tiger, because his bloodline was extremely close to his ancestors. Such a powerful beast bloodline. Bai Minghui squinted his eyes as his scalp went numb. On the True Spirit continent, Yin Fengfeng's comprehensive ability was not that high. But because she was a blue phoenix, she was extremely powerful. Although she seemed to be a bit weaker than Duguju would not be able to beat her. At most, he would have the upper hand. However, this tiger warrior did not only have a beast bloodline that was not weaker than Yin Fengfeng's, but his cultivation had also reached the peak of the 2nd level of the life and death challenge. Tiger warrior, you are bullying us. The young man with an aquiline nose said with a smile. Are you ready? The tiger warrior looked at Bai Minghui with disdain. Make your move. Bai Minghui's body split into 2, one on the left and the other on the right, standing side by side. Then die. The tiger warrior's body flashed like a ferocious tiger as he jumped out. In midair, he reached out with his right hand, his massive tiger claws tearing apart the surreal space. So fast. Bai Minghui only saw a blur in front of his eyes, and the tiger warrior had already jumped over. Not having enough time to dodge, the 2 Bai Minghuis performed the 2nd movement of Sky Bank at the same time, attacking the tiger warrior. Break. The tiger warrior waved his hand, and the 10 incoming silver light beams were torn apart. Suddenly, a stick-like tail grew out of his butt, which landed on one of the Bai Minghui's body, shattering him into pieces on the spot, turning him into light dots and disappearing into the air. It was the clone that was killed, while Bai Minghui's real body backed out. His left hand formed a spell, and a blue cage descended from the sky, trapping the tiger warrior. A sneer appeared on the tiger warrior's face. Do you think you can trap me like this? Of course not. But as long as you can buy me some time, it will be fine. Bai Minghui had not been able to perform the 4th movement before, and had only managed to perform 2 separate movements. But, with the cage trapping the tiger warrior, Bai Minghui finally managed to perform the 4th movement. 10 silver light beams attacked toward the tiger warrior in a disorderly manner. Sky Tiger Roar. Facing Bai Minghui's killing attack, the tiger warrior looked calm as he suddenly opened his mouth to roar. As that roar was let out, time seemed to have stopped, and the space around him started to twist. Boom. The cage was shattered, and the 10 silver light beams were twisted by an invisible power. They did not manage to hurt the tiger warrior at all, but blood leaked out of the corner of Bai Minghui's mouth. An attack with willpower. Bai Minghui was shocked. It was not that there were no secret arts with willpower attacks, but they were just like soul attacks which were extremely rare. However, the Tiger Warrior's Sky Tiger Roar was not a secret art, but a special ability. Secret arts needed to be learned, and the special ability would increase along with one's cultivation. Chin. With a flash of his body, the Tiger Warrior threw out a claw attack toward Bai Ming Hui. Bai Ming Hui's reaction was rather fast as well, blocking the attack with his long spear in front of his chest. However, the impact of the tiger claw was transmitted into his body through the long spear, blowing him away while puking out a couple of mouthfuls of blood. Coincidentally, the place where Bai Ming Hui had been blown away was right next to Yi Qin. Yi Qin. Bai Ming Hui blurted out. Yi Qin? Who is Yi Qin? Almost no one in the Blood Skyland knew who Yi Qin was. But on the side of the True Spirit continent, a lot of people's expressions changed. Who was Yi Qin? There was probably no one who did not know about him. Before Yi Qin left, Du Guju had been completely suppressed. Lu Wujin, Jiang Tian, and Chu Zhongtian had all lost to him, or they did not dare to challenge him. Chapter 846. He is Yi Qin? The long-haired young man looked over curiously. During the years when Yi Qin was in the limelight, he was not in the True Spirit continent. Instead, he had been traveling in the ocean. When he came back, Yi Qin had already left the True Spirit continent, and no one knew where he had gone. However, be it in the teahouses, restaurants, or even on the streets, Yi Qin was the talk of a lot of people. Without even asking around, the long-haired young man already had an impression of Yi Qin in his mind. Martial genius, beast, unrivaled within the same generation, and had never lost a single time since he started his cultivation. With so many honors gathered on one person, the long-haired young man had an intense interest in Yi Qin. He wanted to see what heights this legendary young genius had reached, and whether or not he had the same aptitude as Mysterious Queen, who was unrivaled under the heavens. Du Guju is arrogant, while Dantai Mingyue is ethereal. This Yi Qin, what kind of feeling does he give you? The brown-haired woman was also very interested in Yi Qin, so she turned her head and asked the long-haired young man. The long-haired young man thought for a while, then said, "It should be tolerance." Tolerance? The brown-haired woman was a bit surprised. A sword artist has a sharp aura, but he is different from normal sword artists. This is the first impression he gave me. The long-haired young man said. That is true. He is indeed different from normal sword artists. The brown-haired woman nodded slightly. If it were not for the fact that they had a certain understanding of Yi Qin, they would not have made such an evaluation. It was because they had heard a lot of things about Yi Qin on the True Spirit continent, big and small, and then met him in person that they were able to express their feelings right away. If it were someone else who had seen Yi Qin for the first time, they would not have such a deep feeling. I thought you would not come. It seems like there will be another good show this time. Bai Ming Hui wiped off the blood on the corner of his mouth and said with a smile. Chasing after the peak is my dream, and it is also the dream of all warriors. How could I not come? Yi Qin looked very calm. If you're done chatting, then die. The tiger warrior did not give up on attacking Bai Ming Hui. He flipped his right hand and made a grabbing gesture. A 300-meter-long tiger claw appeared in the air, reaching out toward Yi Qin as well. It seemed like he was planning to kill him all at once. Clang. Facing the young tiger lord from the side, Yi Qin didn't even look at him. He pulled out his sword and slashed. The horrifying sword chi not only split open the tiger claw, but also slashed towards the young tiger lord. Young tiger master tilted his body and bounced up, barely dodging the sword energy. Still as powerful as ever. Situ Hao smiled bitterly in the crowd, then showed a look of admiration. I didn't expect you to be from the True Spirit continent, and you seem to be quite famous. Young Tiger Lord no longer dared to ignore Yi Qin. He had used 70% of his strength in that claw attack just now, but Yi Qin had casually broken it with a sword. He was quite shocked. You are no match for me. Yi Qin shook his head. Seems like I've been underestimated. A cold smile appeared on the young Tiger Lord's face. You've offended the undying Demon Lord, so he will come out to take care of you sooner or later. But before that, I'd like to see what gives you the confidence to say that I am not your opponent. As one of the 8 great beast lords, how could he be scared off by a single sentence from Yi Qin? Otherwise, it would be a disgrace to the reputation of the 8 great beast lords. As he spoke, his body shook, and an even more horrifying tiger aura poured out of his body. In the surreal, tiger roars could be heard, and the sky changed color. Coming to the life and death secret realm, the young Tiger Lord had already obtained a life and death stone. Although he couldn't break through to the third layer from the peak of the second layer, it was not like he didn't make any progress at all. At least, his aura pressure was getting more and more powerful. His blue robe fluttered without any wind as Yi Chen's sword aura was like his own sword, unsheathed, and clashing with the tiger aura of the young Tiger Lord. Crackle. The two's auras clashed violently, resulting in a series of loud noises. Even the space was slightly distorted. Unfortunately, this situation only lasted for a split second. After a split second, the young Tiger Lord staggered and couldn't help but take 3 steps back as his clothes were cut into pieces. Without a doubt, Yi Chen's sword aura was much more powerful than the young Tiger Lord's tiger aura. How can there be such a powerful sword aura? The young Tiger Lord's expression changed several times as he instantly understood that he was not Yi Chen's opponent in terms of aura. It was just like when he was facing the young Elephant Lord. In terms of aura, he was at a complete disadvantage. Competing with Yi Chen's aura. Bai Minghui sneered as he sent a Zhenyuan transmission to Yi Chen. Be careful of his Sky Tiger roar. It's very strange, containing a will attack that can shake the space. I've seen it before. Yi Chen faintly nodded. In the Savage Ruin ancient place, Yen Fengfeng had exchanged blows with Mochi Lu of the Sky Tiger clan. At that time he had also seen Mochi Lu use Sky Tiger roar. Although its power was far inferior to the young Tiger Lord's Sky Tiger roar, the essence was the same. Take this. The young Tiger Lord roared as his body flashed, waving out a claw attack. This time the young Tiger Lord did not hold back at all. He used all of his power, forming a massive tiger claw with a powerful vibration. Yi Chen's expression did not change as he took a step forward, stabbing out his evil shattering sword. Different from Bai Minghui, the latter did not have much time to react when facing the young Tiger Lord's attack, so he had only gathered 80% of his power. On the other hand, Yi Chen's sword steps were extremely fast. Not only was he faster than the young Tiger Lord, but his attack was also much faster. The evil shattering sword flashed once, and a cold star appeared in the void. The young Tiger Lord did not expect that he would be at a disadvantage after making the first move. Seeing that his protective Zhenyuan was about to be pierced through, the tail behind him waved out crazily, planning to fight with Yi Chen. He was confident that he would only be lightly wounded at most, while Yi Chen would be heavily wounded. The body of a beast was much more powerful than a human's. But he had miscalculated. As Yi Chen stabbed out with his sword, he immediately took a step back. That long tiger tail brushed past his chest, and that beast claw did not hurt Yi Chen at all. Chen. Sparks flew everywhere as a round dot appeared on the young Tiger Lord's shoulder. Inside was a shiny armor which was definitely not a normal one. It might even be a top semi-extreme grade armor, or even a pseudo-extreme grade. Blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth as the young Tiger Lord licked his lips and swallowed it before saying with a cruel voice, "No wonder you are so arrogant. It turns out that you are unique in your sword arts." Facing Yi Chen's fast sword, he had only suffered a light wound, and that was only because he was wearing a pseudo-extreme grade armor. Such a fast sword art. It is my first time seeing it. The long-haired youngster and the brown-haired lady's eyes brightened. But my power is not just this. Let's see my real power. Young Tiger Lord's body tumbled in the void, instantly turning into a dozens of meters tall and dozens of meters long silver-white tiger. The tiger tattoo on his forehead looked like king and sky at the same time. A boundless tiger might radiate it out in all directions. The heavenly tiger's bloodline is extremely rich. A true heavenly tiger's fur was platinum, and the silver color was only a step away from the platinum color. It was already very close. After transforming into his true form, young Tiger Lord's battle strength rose once again. His long tail seemed as if it wanted to tear the space apart, twisting and twisting the space. However, even with his true form, young Tiger Lord couldn't gain the slightest advantage against Yi Chen. On the contrary, because he was a huge target, sword wounds appeared on his body, making him bleed profusely. Yi Chen's strength not only shocked young Tiger Lord, but also the geniuses of True Spirit Continent and Blood Sky Continent. True Spirit Continent's geniuses were at least mentally prepared, but Blood Sky Continent's geniuses were seeing Yi Chen for the first time. Seeing Yi Chen beating the 4th-ranked young Tiger Lord into such a miserable state, how could they not be shocked? Their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. I'm afraid this person is not as simple as a famous person of True Spirit Continent. The aquiline-nosed youngster saw through some clues and squinted his eyes. Hee, such strength, there's no need to worry. I'm afraid his strength is not inferior to yours. The brown-haired woman let out a sigh of relief. Yi Chen's performance was indeed astonishing. With only the first layer of life and death chamber, he had suppressed young Tiger Lord, who was at the peak of the second layer. This was not inferior to the long-haired youngster beside him. It should be known that the long-haired youngster was already at the top of the life and death substitute list 10 years ago, second only to Luo Tiandu. Indeed, there's no need to worry. I just don't know if this is his final battle strength. The long-haired youngster said. Could it be that this is not his final battle strength? The brown-haired woman was puzzled. The more young Tiger Lord fought, the more apprehensive and powerless he became. No matter how he attacked, he couldn't threaten Yi Chen at all. On the contrary, Yi Chen casually waved his sword and left a sword mark on his body. After transforming into his true form, his battle strength had indeed increased, but the pseudo-supreme great armor had also entered his body, reducing his defense somewhat. Damn it! Young Tiger Lord's hair stood on end as his surging demonic power bombarded Yi Chen, intending to suppress the latter with his higher cultivation base. Waning Moon. Yi Chen's blue robes fluttered as he slashed out. The waning moon sword energy tore apart the demonic power and bombarded young Tiger Lord's body, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Heavenly Tiger Roar. Young Tiger Lord fought a bloody battle and finally used his innate ability in his true form, Heavenly Tiger Roar. Compared to his human form, the current Heavenly Tiger Roar's might was several times stronger. The space warped, distorting the trajectory of Yi Chen's sword. The sound wave containing the will swept across Yi Chen's body. Yi Chen's complexion slightly changed. The Heavenly Tiger's roar caused wrinkles to appear in the space, adding a hidden energy. It was as if he was training his sword underwater. The turbulent water flow affected the sword's trajectory. As for the sound wave containing the will, it was completely ignored by him. With his fifth-step destruction sword intent, how could he be injured by a will? Seeing Yi Chen's sword trajectory being affected and deviated, young Tiger Lord laughed heartily and clawed at the air. This claw was powerful enough to shatter rocks. You're the one who's going to die. Strangely, a spatial ripple appeared at Yi Chen's location, counteracting the effect of the Heavenly Tiger Roar. Like a phantom, Yi Chen's sword trajectory adjusted, following young Tiger Lord's flaw and piercing his throat. Young Tiger Lord's voice came to a screeching halt as his eyes opened wide. Stop. Eagle piercing the sky. The hook-nosed youngster roared, and a boundless demonic power surged out of his body, transforming into a demonic eagle and pouncing at Yi Chen. You think my true spirit continent has no one? The long-haired youngster's figure flickered several times faster than the wind. Chapter 847. Rumble. The long-haired young man's speed was way too fast. Although he was quite close to Yi Chen, one was using an energy attack while the other was using a movement art. Logically speaking, the energy attack should have arrived first. However, the long-haired young man managed to arrive before the beast power eagle, shattering it with a palm blade attack. So fast. The hawk-nosed youngster was quite astonished. What a powerful attack. The long-haired youngster was equally astonished. Although he had dispersed the demonic power eagle, his palm had gone numb, and his blood and chi were fluctuating. Who are you? Do you dare state your name? The hawk-nosed youngster coldly said. The long-haired youngster's expression was indifferent. Feng Piaoling. Ranked 14th on the life and death substitute list? No wonder he has such strength. The hawk-nosed youngster suddenly understood. The life and death substitute list was filled with young experts. Being ranked 10th, one could well imagine his strength, which was much higher than young Tiger Lord's. Who are you? Feng Piaoling asked. Young Eagle. One of the 8 young beast lords, Young Eagle. Feng Piaoling had heard of Young Eagle Lord's name. This person was similar to Yi Chen and Duguju of True Spirit Continent. In Blood Sky Continent, his strength was even higher than young Tiger Lord's, and he was unfathomable. It was said that even a young genius ranked 17th on the life and death substitute list was easily defeated by Young Eagle Lord. The sword was pulled out, and blood spurted everywhere as Yi Chen retreated 3 steps. You dare kill me? I'll make you regret it. Young Tiger Lord clutched his neck, his voice hoarse. It seemed like Yi Chen's sword had only pierced his throat, but the powerful destruction sword chi had already followed the wound and destroyed his vitality, shattering his 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Since you're here, you should prepare to leave early. Yi Chen didn't take young Tiger Lord's threat to heart. If he was afraid of this and that, he might as well not come to life and death secret realm. Just wait. With these 3 words, young Tiger Lord's body gradually faded, eventually disappearing from life and death secret realm. What a mysterious place. Yi Chen slightly creased his brows. Life and death secret realm gave them the ability to be reborn from a single drop of blood. Even if they died inside, it wouldn't be the same as dying for real. They would only be teleported out. Of course, teleporting out ahead of time would also be a huge loss. After killing the young Tiger Lord with one sword attack, Yi Chen's reputation had risen to a whole new level. There were not many who dared to challenge him. He could even kill the young Tiger Lord, so why would he care about them? You killed young Tiger Lord and made him leave the life and death secret realm ahead of time. Once he leaves, you will be in big trouble. Unfortunately, it is already too late. Young Eagle Lord wasn't boasting shamelessly. Yi Chen and Feng Piaoling joining hands was enough to threaten his life. In any case, he and young Tiger Lord weren't on good terms. However, he couldn't bear to see the people of Blood Sky Continent being killed. He looked at Yi Chen as if he was looking at a dead man. Feng Piaoling sneered, Yi Chen also has a life and death king protecting him in True Spirit Continent. Xianhou, you should know. Who in Sky Tiger Master Sect dares to disregard Xianhou? He didn't mention Dragon King because Dragon King had become famous too early and had been very low-key in his later years. He was only famous among life and death kings, unlike Xianhou who had become famous 20 to 30 years ago. Everyone in Elysium knew her name, especially among the young generation. Xianhou. Hearing Feng Piaoling's words, young Tiger Master was indeed astonished. Xianhou was not only the #1 genius of True Spirit Continent in 1,000 years, but also the #1 genius of Elysium in 1,000 years. Back then she had been invincible all the way to life and death realm. Her fame was so great that even the deaf could hear it. If Xianhou protected Yi Chen, Sky Tiger Master Sect might not dare to act rashly. Distant water can't put out a nearby fire. Moreover, do you think that the 10 great beast sects of Blood Sky Continent will let their kings do as they please? Leaving behind these ruthless words, young Tiger Master turned into a rainbow light and left without any hesitation. Seeing young Tiger Master leave, the other young experts of Blood Sky Continent naturally wouldn't stay. They secretly sized up Yi Chen one by one before whizzing away. Waiting until all the people of Blood Sky Continent had left, Feng Piaoling walked in front of Yi Chen. I've wanted to meet you for a long time. I'm Feng Piaoling of Wind Pavilion. Wind Pavilion was one of the 9 great sects of True Spirit Continent. Together with Evil King's Evil King Pavilion, they were known as the Twin Pavilions. Cauldron King Sect's Jihai Rua. The brown-haired woman also walked over. Although Cauldron King Sect wasn't one of the 9 great sects, it was still a very powerful 5th grade sect. As for Jihai Rua, she was ranked 18th on the life and death substitute list. Sky Cloud Sect's Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded with a faint smile and introduced himself. Feng Piaoling chuckled. We all know that you're from Yi family and the Supreme Elder of Sky Cloud Sect. Among the numerous peak geniuses of True Spirit Continent, your background is the smallest. This is precisely what I admire. The 3 didn't put on airs, so they chatted with each other. Alright Yi Chen, you've killed young Tiger Master. I'm afraid that Sky Tiger Master won't ignore it. You better be careful. Feng Piaoling reminded Yi Chen. Yeah. Although Sky Tiger Master can't contend against Mysterious Sect, you're in Blood Sky Continent after all. The life and death kings of the 2 places rarely interact, and rarely visit each other's territory. Jihai Rua nodded. Yi Chen smiled bitterly. Not only did I kill young Tiger Master, I also killed young Wolf Master. What? You killed young Wolf Master? I really don't know what to say about you. Jihai Rua's eyes widened. They were different from Yi Chen. After leaving Life and Death Secret Realm, they directly appeared on True Spirit Continent. Therefore, even if they killed the geniuses of Blood Sky Continent and made them leave Life and Death Secret Realm ahead of time, the forces of Blood Sky Continent wouldn't dare to come to True Spirit Continent to settle accounts with them. However, Yi Chen came from Blood Sky Continent. Sigh. Feng Piaoling shook his head, unable to help. I'll take it one step at a time. Perhaps I'll be able to pass this hurdle. Yi Chen wasn't a person who was afraid of trouble. He was confident that as long as his cultivation base reached the 3rd layer, he would be able to contend even if he encountered a life and death king. After all, compared to ordinary life and death kings, he didn't fall behind in many aspects. On the contrary, he even surpassed them. For example, 5th step destruction sword intent and profound martial skills. The only things he lacked were genuine and physical strength. I hope so. In their hearts, Feng Piaoling and Ji Hai Rua didn't want Yi Chen to fall. It would be too much of a pity for such a genius to die. Yi Chen, many thanks. Baiming Hui's injuries weren't that serious, and the life and death secret realm had a healing effect as well. After recovering, Baiming Hui cupped his fists toward Yi Chen. It's nothing. We're from True Spirit Continent, and internal competition is internal competition. Encountering this kind of thing, I naturally won't just stand by and watch. Yi Chen said. You're right. Baiming Hui had a new understanding of Yi Chen. In his heart, he didn't just view him as a rival but also as a friend. Afterward, Yi Chen chatted with Situ Hao for a while. Situ Hao and Yi Chen also had some conflicts, but they had turned the hostility into friendship and exchanged martial skills. As soon as the event ended, an intense battle was taking place on the other side of the inner area. There were no onlookers. The two sides were a man and a woman. The man had a muscular build and his shoulders were wide and his legs were long. His aura was extremely aggressive, and it was not any weaker than Chu Zhongtian's. His weapons were two swords. In his right hand was a huge sword that was almost as long as his body, and in his left was a thin sword. The two swords were one big and one small, one wide and one thin. When combined, it was flawless. The woman was a gentle and beautiful woman in golden robes. If Yi Chen were here, he would certainly feel his heart palpitate, because this golden-robed woman was none other than Su Jing, who had disappeared for many years. At this moment, apart from being gentle and quiet, Su Jing also had a trace of domineeringness, a domineeringness that was different from men. Boom, 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 boom. The battle between the two was intense and violent. It was like countless shooting stars clashing together. Eat my sword. The bulky young man held the huge sword in his right hand and slashed down with all his might. The sword light was extremely huge, and before it even reached its target, a dozens of miles-long sword pit had already appeared on the ground. Dang! Su Jing's fist landed on the huge sword, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Her power seemed light, but it almost made the bulky young man lose his grip on the huge sword. Su Jing's fist seemed to contain a huge mountain and a vast ocean. How can this woman have such a horrifying power? The bulky young man was shocked. He could tell that Su Jing was a body training expert and not just a normal one at that. But he himself was also a body training expert. In his eyes, Su Jing's fist power was extremely horrifying, and his sword arts could not be connected at all. I, Marquis Sword Tyrant, don't believe that I can't deal with you. Marquis Sword Tyrant came from another continent, the Sky Sword Continent. He was one of the 10 swords of the Sky Sword Continent's youth generation, and specialized in Slaughter Sword Dao's dual swords. Ordinarily, strongest, half-step kings wouldn't even have the qualifications to make him use dual swords. However, Su Jing's strength had already surpassed his imagination. If he didn't use dual swords, he wouldn't even be able to take 3 moves. Assassination Sword. The instant he lost his balance, Marquis Sword Tyrant thrust the thin sword in his left hand toward Su Jing's forehead. The sword light was dim and indistinct, making it easy to overlook. Without even looking, Su Jing flicked the thin sword with her finger. Clang! The thin sword bounced off. Raising her right leg high, Su Jing chopped down on Marquis Sword Tyrant's chest. Like a cannonball, Marquis Sword Tyrant was sent flying. His peak pseudo-supreme grade armor seemed to have caved in a little, and many of his ribs were broken. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, he turned into a bloody rainbow. Damn it! How can she be so powerful? Marquis Sword Tyrant was unwilling to accept this outcome. He forcefully suppressed his retreating figure, but the recoil made him spurt out another mouthful of blood. His complexion was incomparably pale. My most powerful move is the Slaughter Star, which was created based on the Slaughter Sword Dao. Die. Taking a deep breath, Marquis Sword Tyrant leaped up. Looking down from above, he crossed his 2 swords and furiously slashed down. The flickering sword light interweaved into a cross, looking like twinkling stars in the sky. Star-shattering fist. Standing in place without moving, Su Jing's long hair fluttered without any wind, looking like dancing flames. As she punched out, the space became still and the sky suddenly darkened. Starlight flickered everywhere as if she had arrived in the starry sky. Shortly after, a star shattered, and the location of that star was precisely Marquis Sword Tyrant's position. Marquis Sword Tyrant's figure gradually faded. One could see a huge hole in his chest, but there was no blood flowing out. Raising her eyes, Su Jing said indifferently, "Both of you are sword artists, but your sword arts are far inferior to another. The image of Yi Chen flashed through her mind. Who is he? Marquis Sword Tyrant really wanted to ask who Su Jing was talking about. Unfortunately, he was already dead, and when he next appeared, he would be in the Sky Sword continent. Chapter 848. The reason they came to the secret realm was to get life and death stones. If there were too many of them, the efficiency would be lower. Therefore, Yi Chen and Feng Piaoling did not hunt the evil spirits together and soon separated. In the inner area there were many life and death evil spirits. Sometimes, there were even 2 or 3 life and death evil spirits gathered together. Sometimes there were some strange life and death evil spirits, such as ghost evil spirits without a specific shape or self-explosion evil spirits. These evil spirits might not be powerful, but they were hard to defend against. The sword light flashed through a misty evil spirit. The evil spirit disappeared and a life and death stone floated in the air. Finally got the second life and death stone. After separating from Feng Piaoling and the rest for half a month, Yi Chen was able to kill 1 or 2 life and death evil spirits every day. After half a month he had killed 24 life and death evil spirits, and only now did he obtain the second one. It was not easy at all. I need 2 life and death stones to get from the first to the second level. I still need 1 more to be able to enter the second level. With a wave of Zhen Yuan in his palm, the life and death stone merged into his body as Yi Chen thought to himself. Let's find the life and death bridge first. He needed to find the life and death bridge first. There were only 4 life and death bridges in the inner area that led to the core area, which were not as many as the outer area and the inner area. On the way Yi Chen suddenly stopped. In the distance, an unwilling roar was heard. What? 2 life and death stones still could not help me enter the life and death chamber? Could it be that my potential is not as good as others? It was a normal-looking teenager who had made the roar. His cultivation was not low at all, having reached the top half-step king warrior level. His Zhen Yuan was quite rich as well. Shaking his head, Yi Chen had seen this scene for the second time. Although the people who came to the life and death secret realm were all top young martial geniuses with great potential, not everyone could make a breakthrough smoothly. Besides a small part of luck, it also had to do with an unstable foundation. Therefore, every time the life and death secret realm opened, although half of the people could get life and death stones, only a quarter of them could make a breakthrough. After spending 3 days, Yi Chen found the life and death bridge that led to the core area. There was not a single person beside it. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen arrived at the bridge. Buzz 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 buzz. This was different from the life and death bridge that connected the outer region to the inner region. The stone statues on this life and death bridge roared, sending ripples of sound waves towards Yi Chen. Aside from being extremely powerful, these sound waves could also numb one's body and cause their quintessence to become unstable. If one was not careful, they would immediately be injured by the sound waves. I am afraid that without the peak of the first level of the life and death challenge, it would be hard to cross this bridge. The sound waves are way too powerful. Yi Chen was struggling. In terms of strength, he was naturally not at the peak of the first layer of life and death challenge. However, in terms of cultivation base, he was already at this realm. The sound waves emitted by the stone statue contained life and death chi. Every time it vibrated, it was an exchange of life and death chi. Energy attacks and protective Zhen Yuan could not completely shatter the sound waves. Therefore, the requirement for cultivation base was extremely high. Too slow. By relying on his cultivation, Yi Chen could indeed cross the life and death bridge. However, it would consume a great deal of quintessential essence. Moreover, there was no need to look for trouble. He released his sword domain, and the sound waves were immediately neutralized. Yi Chen's body flickered as he crossed the bridge. How could that guy cross the bridge so easily? Far behind him, a young genius noticed the scene on the bridge, and a trace of doubt flashed through his face. As far as he knew, even geniuses at the second layer of life and death chamber would not be able to cross the bridge easily. As for those at the third layer, it would be quite easy, but they would not be like Yi Chen, whose body flashed and flew across the bridge. He did not see the scene of Yi Chen struggling. Could it be that there is something wrong with this bridge? A joyful expression flashed through the young man's face. Without any hesitation, the young man flew over and jumped onto the bridge. Buzz. Merely 2 rings of sound waves were enough to send the young man flying back while puking blood. The powerful vibrations even tore apart his clothes, leaving him naked. Fuck. Playing with me. The young man howled miserably. Fuck. How can the evil spirits here be so powerful? Somewhere in the core area, A young genius at the peak of the first layer of Life and Death Challenge was pierced through by a snake-shaped evil spirit and sent out of the secret realm. If I had known earlier, I would not have come to the core area. Too powerful. These evil spirits are simply monstrous. This scene was happening everywhere. Those who were killed were first layer Life and Death Challenge and second layer Life and Death Challenges. High-level evil spirits? Exterminating a life and death evil spirit with difficulty, young Eagle Lord muttered to himself. The life and death evil spirits in the secret realm did not have any ranks. However, the people who entered had divided them into 4 ranks. They were low-level evil spirits, mid-level evil spirits, high-level evil spirits, and peak evil spirits. Low-level evil spirits usually appeared in the outer area, mid-level evil spirits in the inner area, and high-level and peak evil spirits in the core area. Low and mid-level evil spirits were not very strong. High-level evil spirits had the strength of the second layer, while the stronger ones had reached the third layer. As for peak-level evil spirits, they were not existences that could be killed by a single person. Even existences like Young Elephant Lord and Young Undying Demon Lord would have to flee upon encountering peak-level evil spirits to avoid being exhausted to death. In the past 1,000 years, only a few people could kill a peak evil spirit alone, and one of them was precisely Shinho. I was careless. Near the center of the core area, an unwilling expression flickered on Lu Wujian's face. His waist had been cut into 2, and his body was gradually fading away. Not far behind him stood a humanoid evil spirit with a long horn on its head. Its figure was extremely clear and its skin was like scales. If it had intelligence, it would not be an exaggeration to regard it as a living being. The savage aura it emitted was too frightening. In fact, if Lu Wujian had been a bit more cautious, he would have had the opportunity to escape the moment he encountered this life and death evil spirit. However, he didn't. He thought that by relying on the Life and Death Stone and raising his cultivation base to the second layer of Life and Death Chamber, he would be able to walk unhindered in Life and Death's secret realm. He was wrong. I almost died. In another location, Yen Feng let out a breath and looked into the distance with lingering fear. That life and death evil spirit was extremely frightening. If not for her speed, she would not have been able to escape in a battle. Something's wrong. Why are peak evil spirits so easy to encounter this time? I remember last time, there were only a few of them in the core area. Luo Chindu's face was full of confusion. Could it be because the quality of the geniuses this time is too high, and the number is too many? Luo Chindu thought of a possibility. Worthy of being a high-rank evil spirit. Killing low-rank and mid-rank evil spirits did not require much effort from Yichin. Although it was still easy for him to kill high-rank evil spirits, it was impossible for him to do so without any effort. Especially the ghost evil spirits and the self-exploding evil spirits. Even young warriors at the third layer of Life and Death Challenge would find themselves in a difficult situation if they were careless. The core area was not that big, and the number of evil spirits was not as big as the inner area. However, they were very densely distributed. Along the way, Yichin saw a lot of people being killed by high-rank evil spirits and teleported out of Life and Death's secret realm. Those who were able to survive were all elites among elites. Facing 2 high-rank evil spirits, Yichin waved his hand, and the broken blood sword turned into 33 sword shadows, shooting out like lightning. Buff, 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 buff. The 2 high-rank evil spirits were riddled with holes even though they were several li away. A Life and Death Stone floated in the air. Life and Death Stone. Dozens of li away, 2 figures were flying in the sky. They sensed the life and death aura coming from the stone, and their eyes brightened. "Kid, if you don't want to die, get lost." One of them yelled at Yichin. Yichin ignored him completely. He stretched out his palm and a powerful suction force appeared. The Life and Death Stone fell into Yichen's hand with a swish. The third Life and Death Stone. A smile appeared on Yichen's face as he fused the stone into his body. "You are courting death." Both of them were young geniuses at the second layer of Life and Death Challenge, while Yichin was only at the first layer. They originally thought that Yichin would be afraid of their strength and give up on this Life and Death Stone. Who would have thought that Yichin would not give them any face at all? Boom. Zhen Yuan burst out of the 2's bodies, and their auras rushed toward Yichin, intending to launch a fierce attack. Standing where he was without moving, Yichin looked at the 2 coldly. Whoa. Right at this moment, the ground loosened and a huge wolf evil spirit broke out of the ground, blocking the 2's path. The giant wolf evil spirit was as large as a small mountain. The fur on its body was vivid and lifelike, and the savage aura it emitted was almost tangible, thick like ink. Compared to it, high-grade evil spirits were not even worth mentioning, and would definitely be killed in an instant. How can there be a peak-level evil spirit here? The two were horrified and their eyes were wide open. Run! One of them yelled and flew away, not daring to face the evil spirit. However, the evil spirit's speed was much faster than theirs, and the distance between them was not too far. In a few blinks of an eye, it had caught up. Pucci. With a wave of its right claw, one of them was torn into two halves. Its body collided, and the other turned into a blood mist. The battle strength of the evil spirit was completely above the peak of the third layer of life and death challenge. There was no doubt about it. This is a peak-level evil spirit? Yi Chen sucked in a deep breath, his expression incomparably solemn. After killing the two, the evil spirit turned its head and locked its cruel gaze on Yi Chen. Although it had no intelligence, it could feel that Yi Chen was different from others. Others would run away upon encountering such an existence, and no one would dare to stay. However, Yi Chen did so. Swish! The evil spirit bent its hind legs and shot over. In Battle King's memories, there was information about peak-level evil spirits. Although Battle King was astonishingly talented, when he first entered Life and Death's secret realm, he had spent an entire day to kill a peak-level evil spirit. From this, one could see how powerful and frightening peak-level evil spirits were. Chapter 849. The giant wolf evil spirit's speed was extremely fast. With a flicker of illusory light, it appeared in front of Yi Chen. Its thick and powerful right claw ferociously slammed down, leaving cracks in the space. It had the ability to shatter space, even if it was not comparable to a life and death king. It can actually tear space. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. The giant wolf evil spirit's battle strength was even above his imagination. Circulating the Zhen Yuan in his body to the limit, his blood almost igniting. Finally, it flowed along the flesh of his right arm and converged on the evil vanquishing sword. The sword blossomed with a jade-like sword light as it slashed forward. Clang! Pop! The giant wolf evil spirit's claw collided with the evil vanquishing sword, causing the space to sway. A few pitch-black cracks appeared in the space before finally collapsing. Under this space-shattering power, Yi Chen's evil vanquishing sword curved into a shocking arc before fiercely rebounding, sending Yi Chen flying 3 to 4 li away. At the same time, a frightening ripple spread out in the open space between the two. The ground was scraped open one layer after another, reaching dozens of zhang deep. So powerful. This was the first time Yi Chen was at a disadvantage under Life and Death realm. The giant wolf evil spirit's offensive power was undoubtedly above his. Swish! After a slight pause in the air, the giant wolf evil spirit pounced at Yi Chen once again. Wherever it went, the space would distort, making it difficult to understand. With his undying body, Yi Chen wasn't injured in the slightest. He lightly stomped on the ground and leaped up. The evil vanquishing sword in his hand emitted hundreds of cold stars. It was precisely his fastest sword art, spiritual sword. As soon as spiritual sword was unleashed, Yi Chen's perception was pushed to the limit. Each sword strike aimed at the giant wolf evil spirit's flaws. Oh! The giant wolf evil spirit roared and crashed into the dense net of cold stars. In the next moment, numerous flat sword holes appeared on its huge body. The sword holes exploded and expanded to the size of a fist. Moreover, it paused in the air for a moment, showing signs of rigidity. Waning moon. Holding the sword with both hands, Yi Chen forcefully slashed down. Pucci! The black waning moon embedded itself into the giant wolf vicious spirit's head, moving along its chest. A small half of its body was almost cut open, radiance surging. However, a peak evil spirit was still a peak evil spirit. It was extremely difficult to disperse. Even after being struck by Yi Chen's waning moon, it was still as lively as ever. Its two front claws slashed at Yi Chen. The edges of the claws had black cracks that contained a powerful suction force. Dang! The giant wolf evil spirit's attack was too fast. Yi Chen only had time to raise his sword to block it. Under the power of the space-shattering force, his whole body flew out diagonally. Finally, his feet landed on the ground and slid out. The soil on the ground surged and a deep ravine was formed. The first level of Life and Death challenge is still a bit low. Frowning, Yi Chen realized that there were some internal injuries in his body. Fortunately, the immortal body was currently healing these internal injuries and adjusting his bodily functions. Do I have to use the Sky Scorpio sword? Yichen was slightly hesitant. No, the Sky Scorpio sword is my last resort. It's best not to rely on it unless it's a matter of life and death. Otherwise, once I become dependent on it, there will be unpredictable obstacles to my cultivation. The gains do not make up for the losses. Seems like I have to go all out. With a shake of his body, Yichen unleashed Sword Domain, enveloping the giant wolf evil spirit within. Sword Domain was the domain of a sword artist. Apart from its great offensive power, it also had the ability to suppress the opponent. The giant wolf evil spirit's speed was originally extremely fast, but under the suppression of Sword Domain, its speed was immediately reduced by 1/5. In Yi Chen's eyes, it instantly became sluggish. With Sword Domain, Yi Chen had a much easier time dealing with the evil spirit. At the very least, its movement and attack speed no longer made him feel tired. Of course, although its movement and attack speed had been reduced, the evil spirit was, after all, a peak-level evil spirit. Yi Chen's attacks simply couldn't injure it. At most, he could create some small scars. Moreover, out of every 10 attacks, one would still land on Yi Chen's body. The life and death chi of a peak-level evil spirit is too abundant. It can completely exhaust my Zhenyuan and then kill me. No wonder Battle King needed a whole day to kill a peak-level evil spirit. Yi Chen sighed, his eyes turning sharp. Bewitching mirror shattering. Retreating, Yi Chen's evil vanquishing sword was wrapped in an invisible spatial power. At a glance, the sword seemed to be twisted and folded, making it impossible to see the sword's trajectory. It was as if the evil vanquishing sword's attack range was everywhere. Unable to dodge, the evil spirit was struck by the evil vanquishing sword. Buzz. In the next moment, the evil spirit was sealed in a mirror-like space. The mirror-like space rapidly twisted and shattered. Within the void, cracks could be seen everywhere, and the suction power became chaotic. By relying on bewitching mirror shattering, Yi Chen also had the ability to shatter space. Oh! Countless hideous cracks appeared on the surface of the giant wolf evil spirit's body. The shallowest crack was several inches deep, and the deepest crack almost tore the giant wolf evil spirit in half. The terrifying destructive power far surpassed that of the waning moonsword technique. It's a token. Through the cracks, Yi Chen saw a stone token inside the evil spirit's body. It's a life and death token. The name of an item appeared in Yi Chen's mind. Life and Death Secret Realm was divided into 3 regions: the outer region, the inner region, and the core region. The core region had a Life and Death Palace, and the most basic requirement to enter it was a Life and Death token. In other words, the Life and Death token was the pass to enter Life and Death Palace. But it's still not quite possible to kill this top-level evil spirit. Yi Chen smiled bitterly. In his eyes, the injuries on the evil spirit's body were recovering at a visible speed. Of course, at the same time, the evil spirit's life and death chi was also decreasing, not as dense as before. However, this was Life and Death Secret Realm, and life and death chi was everywhere. Relying on its instinct, the evil spirit began absorbing life and death chi from the outside world to replenish itself. Either run away immediately or use absolute strength to shatter its body. There's no third way to kill it. Yi Chen had a deep understanding of peak evil spirits. In almost a blink of an eye, the giant wolf evil spirit's battle power recovered to its peak. Yi Chen didn't know whether it was his misconception or not, but the evil spirit seemed to be a bit more tyrannical than before. Its dense ink-like savage aura even caused the space to fluctuate slightly. Kill. Unwavering confidence, Yi Chen didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced, raising his sword to meet the evil spirit. The evil vanquishing sword in his hand blossomed with sword chi that seemed to want to shatter space. Rumble. One wolf and one man battled once again. Berserk chi ripples swept out in all directions, and could be clearly felt even from 10,000 li away. Who's fighting? Such frightening ripples. Could it be that someone is joining hands to deal with a peak-level evil spirit? Peak-level evil spirits have life and death tokens inside their bodies. Only those with life and death tokens can enter Life and Death Palace. Seems like someone can't wait any longer and is looking for a partner. Although there weren't many young experts left in the core area, and most of them had been transported out, the core area wasn't that big and the distance between them wasn't that far. Thus, there were only 6 or 7 people who sensed the commotion. However, they didn't think that someone was fighting a peak-level evil spirit alone. A peak-level evil spirit was not something that a single person could contend against. They really wanted to go and take a look, but they didn't dare. In the secret realm, everyone was an opponent. If they went, they would be courting death. If they didn't get killed by a peak-level evil spirit, then they would be killed by a group of young experts. Patience was a must. Yi Chen's current situation was extremely bad. The evil spirit was like a perpetual motion machine that would never tire. The battle had already gone on for 2 hours, and the evil spirit was still in peak condition. On the other hand, Yi Chen was gradually getting tired. In the end, Yi Chen was a human, a living being with flesh and blood. He had his limits. Clang. Sparks flew everywhere as Yi Chen was struck by the evil spirit for the first time. The clothes on his chest were torn apart, and the pseudo-extreme grade bronze armor exploded with blazing sparks. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Yi Chen's entire body was flung away, and his sword domain was broken by itself. Not good. Circulating his undying body with all his might, Yi Chen pushed his sword steps to the limit. With a slight flicker, he evaded the evil spirit's consecutive attacks. Letting out a roar, the evil spirit tilted its head and spat out a light beam condensed from life and death chi. The light beam shattered the space and landed on Yi Chen's shoulder. His body tumbling, Yi Chen was buried deep into the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The evil spirit wouldn't let Yi Chen go so easily. The meaning of its existence was to kill anyone who entered the life and death secret realm. The ground was rolling and shaking. The land within dozens of miles seemed to have turned into brown boiling water, bringing up waves of dirt. If someone were to dive into the ground, he or she would find that the ground had turned into sand and was continuously rolling and shaking. In such a harsh environment, even a third-level life and death challenge warrior would not be able to make it out alive. After attacking the ground for hundreds of times, the evil spirit opened its mouth, and a light ball of life and death chi took shape. It then shot toward the center of the ground. Rumble. A sand fountain appeared on the ground, and the sky turned dusky. Hovering in the air, the evil spirit stopped attacking. It could sense that there was no longer any life fluctuation underground. This troublesome human was already dead. Life and death reincarnation. Life is not the starting point and death is not the end. The lifeless underground suddenly burst forth with a powerful life force. Grass and trees grew at a visible speed on the destroyed land. In just a few moments, hundreds of li had turned into an oasis. The ground caved in and Yi Chen flew out, his aura soaring. At this moment he was in the second layer of life and death chamber. The life and death chi had vaguely formed a simple cycle, growing and multiplying without end. Speaking of which, I still have to thank you. Raising his head, Yi Chen looked at the evil spirit that was about to leave with an intense battle intent in his eyes. Swish. The evil spirit had no emotions and didn't know what shock was. Seeing that Yi Chen wasn't dead, it flashed over and continued to attack. Without retreating, Yi Chen swung the evil vanquishing sword. As the sword tip streaked across the space, it tore open a pitch-black crack. Chapter 850. Tearing space. Yi Chen could now do it as well. He could feel that the sword tip seemed to have broken through some kind of barrier. The sword's speed and might kept increasing, as if that pitch-black crack was increasing the speed of the evil vanquishing sword. The giant wolf evil spirit's right claw collided with the evil vanquishing sword. However, there was no earth-shattering sound. Instead, it was like a glass bottle shattering. Of course, it was not the glass bottle shattering but the space shattering. The giant wolf evil spirit and Yi Chen both had the ability to tear space. When their powers collided, it was almost equivalent to the full power attack of an ordinary life and death king. For the first time, the giant wolf evil spirit was repelled by Yi Chen. Of course, Yi Chen also retreated 100 steps. Right now, my offensive power is equal to its, but in terms of battle technique, it is far inferior to me. A smile appeared on his face as Yi Chen's figure flickered, shooting toward the giant wolf evil spirit with a speed surpassing his previous speed. Wherever he went, the space would wrinkle. The giant wolf evil spirit had no intelligence and didn't know what emotions were. Seeing Yi Chen's attack, it immediately steadied its body and met him head-on. Spiritual sword. When the distance between the two was less than 100 meters, Yi Chen suddenly thrust his sword and flicked his wrist. Puff 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 puff. Countless tiny cracks appeared in the void. Before the giant wolf evil spirit could even approach, it was already riddled with holes as if it had turned into a sieve. However, top-level evil spirits were not so easy to kill. These injuries were not fatal to the giant wolf evil spirit, making it hard to disperse. Opening its huge mouth, the giant wolf evil spirit spouted a light ball containing life and death chi toward Yi Chen. The light ball pierced through the void and appeared before Yi Chen in a flash. Waning moon. Yi Qin drifted back in the air, slashing the evil vanquishing sword horizontally. The black waning moon split the light ball into two, and the powerful sword energy similarly pierced through the space. The giant wolf evil spirit could sense the change in Yi Qin's power. It opened its huge mouth and shot out light balls condensed from the power of life and death towards Yi Qin. Faced with these numerous balls of light, Yi Qin didn't dare to be careless, and he released his sword domain. Under the envelopment of the sword domain, even space seemed to have become much sturdier. As the balls of light pierced through space, their might was greatly reduced, and their speed was also reduced by several times. Thus, they were sliced apart by Yi Qin one after another. At the same time, Yi Qin quickly approached the giant wolf evil spirit. While it was absorbing the life and death chi of the heaven and earth, Yi Qin slashed out with his sword. It was bewitching mirror-shattering. The giant wolf evil spirit was sealed in a special space. When the space shattered, its body also shattered, turning into thousands of pieces like a broken mirror. The power of the bewitching mirror shattering was already extremely horrifying. Before Yi Qin had reached the level of tearing space, it already had the destructive power to shatter space. Now that his cultivation base had reached the second level of life and death challenge, the power of the bewitching mirror shattering had increased, allowing him to kill the evil spirit with one sword attack. As soon as the evil spirit died, the life and death token floated out of its body, emitting a special vibration. Finally killed. Yi Qin let out a sigh of relief. If the evil spirit still hadn't died, he would have no choice but to take out the Sky Scorpio sword and directly kill it. After all, he wouldn't be able to make successive breakthroughs in a short period of time, and the evil spirit would only get more and more powerful as it battled. With a wave of his hand, the life and death token landed in Yi Qin's hand. After carefully examining it, Yi Qin put it into his storage ring. The first life and death stone helped me break through to the first level of the life and death challenge. Although the second one did not help me break through, under the pressure I still managed to break through. Adding this life and death stone in my body, I still need 3 more life and death stones to break through to the third level. Once he left the secret realm, there would be a huge problem waiting for Yi Qin. Yi Qin couldn't relax at all as he had to get 3 stones within the time limit. Let's keep hunting. The evil spirits in the core area are very limited. After killing all of them, I can only go to the life and death palace to try my luck. With a flash of his body, Yi Qin disappeared from where he was standing. Blood Sky Land, Thousand Wolf Plains, White Wolf Martial School. As one of the top 10 beast martial schools, the White Wolf Martial School had a huge building area. There were 3 inner and 3 outer layers, and most of the outer layers were werewolves. The lowest among them was rank 5. Although they couldn't transform into human form, they could all walk upright due to some special methods, which made them in between human and wolf forms. Although there were also werewolves in the inner layers, some of them could transform into human form as well. Being able to transform into human form meant that they were definitely at rank 7. Why is Wolf Warrior back? Isn't the life and death secret realm not over yet? Something is not right. Could it be that Wolf Warrior was killed in the secret realm? That is possible. All of the wolf beasts discussed among themselves, looking horrified. Wolf, what is going on? Inside a palace in the core area of the White Wolf Martial School, a white-haired elder walked out. The elder's eyes were green, and his pupils were vertical. Wolf Warrior turned into a beam of light and landed on the ground. Great Master, I have been killed. Wolf Warrior's face was full of shame, but it was also filled with uncontrollable anger and frustration. What? Who killed you? Is it our Blood Sky Land? True Spirit Land? Or Sky Sword Land? The elder's face was dark and serious. It was a human right here in our Blood Sky Land. Human, the human martial geniuses in our Blood Sky Land who can kill you are only the 4 demons. Among them, Ling Hui should not be your opponent. Undying Demon Lord Tai Quangzuan, and the Demon Lady Blade. They should know the rules of the Blood Sky Land, right? Wolf Warrior shook his head. Not them. It is a human I have never seen before. He seems to be related to the Demon Lady Blade, Lan Sanmei. He is wearing blue robes and his weapon is a sword. He looks to be in his early 20s. No matter who he is, I will make him die without a grave. If he has a martial school in the Blood Sky Land, then my White Wolf Martial School will destroy his martial school. The elder said with a cold tone. Tiger Roar Mountain Sky Tiger Beast Martial School. Inside the Sky Tiger Palace. The one who killed you is not one of the 4 demons but a human sword artist? And he is related to the Demon Blade Martial School's girl, Lan Sanmei. Damn it. The leader of the Sky Tiger Beast Martial School happened to be in the sect. Seeing young Tiger Warrior's sudden return, he was extremely shocked. After asking, he found out that he was killed by a human sword artist. How could he not be angry? Go into seclusion first. Don't come out until you reach the third layer of Life and Death Challenge. This is your punishment. The leader of the Sky Tiger Beast Martial School said coldly to young Tiger Warrior. Yes. Young Tiger Warrior also knew that he was killed because he was not powerful enough. Therefore he was willing to accept the punishment. However, he still hated Yichen a lot. If he had not been killed, he would have had the chance to find enough Life and Death stones and reach the third layer. Inside a valley in the core area of Life and Death's secret realm, Feng Piaoling had just killed a relatively powerful high-level evil spirit. He was quite lucky as there was a Life and Death stone inside the evil spirit's body. Seems like I have hope to reach the third layer. Feng Piaoling merged the Life and Death stone into his body. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, his body froze. In the sky above the valley, a teenager in green robes had appeared out of nowhere. Although he did not have a sword in his hand, that intense sword intent had already locked onto Feng Piaoling. As long as Feng Piaoling moved his body, the teenager in green would definitely attack him. Sword Realm Artist, it is you. A hint of bitterness appeared on Feng Piaoling's face. Sword Realm Artist was one of the top 10 sword warriors of the Sky Sword continent, ranked 4th on the Life and Death Realm substitute list. Last time in the Life and Death secret realm, Feng Piaoling had seen his power. In other words, besides Luo Qiandu, no one in this true spirit continent could be his opponent, not even him. Do you want me to do it, or do you want to kill yourself? Sword Realm Artist said lightly. Although I am not your opponent, it is impossible for me to kill myself. The bitterness disappeared from Feng Piaoling's face as he said with a low voice. Very good. It seems like you are not that weak after all. Sword Realm Artist waved his hand and 4 top-ranked great swords appeared in front of him, floating in the air. Run. Without thinking, Feng Piaoling turned around and tried to escape. If he fought with Sword Realm Artist, he would definitely die. But if he ran, there would still be a chance. Feng Piaoling was good at the wind profound, so his speed was extremely fast. It was only a flash, but he was already hundreds of miles away. It was as if the wind had become his support. Do you think you can get away? Sword Realm Artist lifted up his eyes as he put up his right index and middle fingers, then pointed at Feng Piaoling who was in the distance. 4 top-ranked great swords shot out at lightning speed, forming a flying sword spell. 1 sword was in the front, while the other 3 were in the back. Outside of the sword spell, there was a blue-colored whirlwind. It was this whirlwind that made it even faster. Wind sword spell. Feng Piaoling's speed was very fast, but the wind sword spell was even faster. The sword spell flashed once, and a huge hole appeared on Feng Piaoling's back and chest. His body started to fade out slowly. Even a semi-extreme rank armor could be pierced through so easily. Sword Realm Artist, you are indeed powerful. Alright, once I get back to the true spirit continent, I will do Yichen a favor. Smiling bitterly, Feng Piaoling's body disappeared, leaving only a Life and Death stone floating in the air. Sword Realm Artist flew over slowly and made a grabbing gesture, causing the Life and Death stone to merge into his body. The true spirit continent has fallen. Luo Qiandu, I wonder how powerful you are now. It is Feng Piaoling. From afar, Yichen saw Feng Piaoling's body get pierced through and disappear from the Life and Death secret realm. Then a teenager in green appeared there. Using the defensive sword spell to control the sword spell? Yichen flew over quickly. Yichen? Sword Realm Artist turned his head and looked at Yichen with a weird expression. Normal people would not even have the time to run after witnessing his power. But now, Yichen was approaching him with a hint of killing intent in his eyes. The second level of the Life and Death Challenge. Your cultivation is not low. Unfortunately, you are too stupid. Sword Realm Artist turned around and looked at Yichen coldly. Tell me your name. I do not kill people without a name. Yichen said, you should be Sword Realm Artist from the Sky Sword continent, right? Yichen had heard Feng Piaoling mention the 10 Sword Realm before. It seems like you know who I am. Sword Realm Artist flicked his eyebrows. Indeed, I am Yichen, the one who will kill you. The Sword Realm Artist could feel an extremely horrifying shapeless sword chi entering his body through his fingers. Once the sword chi entered his body, although he would not be severely wounded, he would definitely suffer from internal injuries, which would decrease his battling power drastically. It was not something he wanted to see, so he was a bit regretful. He should not have been careless. Backing out quickly, the Sword Realm artist grabbed his right arm with his left hand and pushed out his Zhen Yuan, forcing out the invisible sword chi that had invaded his right arm, not giving it a chance to attack. Forcing out the sword chi, the Sword Realm artist raised his head and looked at Yi Chen with a serious expression. Although he had been careless and hadn't used his sword formation, that finger attack of his was a move that he was proud of. It was called the Silver Light Golden Finger. The Silver Light Golden Finger wasn't a profound martial art, but a mid-tier heaven-class secret art. It was extremely powerful, but Yi Chen's sword move was clearly above the Silver Light Golden Finger, causing him to suffer a little. Quite an impressive finger technique. Yi Chen was a bit surprised. Although the power of the spiritual sword attack was not as powerful as the waning moon and the bewitching mirror shattering, it was still not something that normal people could handle. The fact that the Sword Realm artist was able to cancel out half of the spiritual sword attack's power must have something to do with this finger art. Very well. I admit that I have underestimated you. Your power is way more powerful than Feng Piaoling's. Waving his hand, 4 top-rank great swords floated in front of him as he said word by word. Bring out your most powerful power. Otherwise the battle will be over soon. To be honest, Yi Chen was a bit excited. He had never seen anyone use a sword spell as an attacking method. Although the Sky Sword artist from the True Spirit continent had used a sword spell as well, that sword spell used energy as the core. It did not contain any defensive sword spell, nor did it contain the profound mysteries of the sword spell. How arrogant you are. The Sword Realm artist was furious. He had always been the one looking down on his opponents, but he did not expect to be looked down on by Yi Chen today. He decided to use the sword spell to kill Yi Chen slowly instead of killing him right away. Otherwise it would be too easy for him. Wind sword spell. Pointing out his sword finger at Yi Chen, the Sword Realm artist yelled. 4 swords, 1 in the front and the other 3 at the back, looked like wings in the sky. Surrounded by the blue tornado, they flew toward Yi Chen at an extreme speed. This sword spell not only contained the power of the sword spell, but also his powerful sword intent. 27 sword attacks at the same time. Yi Chen looked calm as he pointed out his sword finger as well. The broken blood sword on his waist took out of its scabbard automatically. It divided into 27 sword shadows and attacked toward the wind sword spell. He knows the defensive sword spell as well. The Sword Realm artist was shocked. Unfortunately, my defensive sword spell combined with the sword spell has increased its power and speed by a couple of times. Just the defensive sword spell alone would not be able to compete with it. The Sword Realm artist was also a soul warrior. Of course, his soul was only twice as powerful as normal people's, which was not as powerful as Yi Chen's 5 times. But even so, it was already enough for him to be proud of. The sword formation of wind clashed with the 27 sword shadows. Countless sword lights burst out in the void. The sharp sword chi cut the valley into pieces, making it a mess. The 27 sword shadows were even more powerful than the wind sword spell. After breaking through the spell, there were still dozens of sword shadows shooting toward the Sword Realm artist. Impossible. No matter how hard the Sword Realm artist thought about it, he could not understand why the wind sword spell was not as powerful as Yi Chen's defensive sword spell. He obviously knew how powerful the defensive sword spell was, since he had also trained it before the sword spell. One wind sword spell could not compete with Yi Chen's defensive sword spell, so another 4 high-rank great swords appeared in front of the Sword Realm artist. The wind sword spell shot out and destroyed the remaining dozens of sword shadows. Taking back the 8 high-rank great swords, the way the Sword Realm artist looked at Yi Chen was different. The latter's power was way beyond his imagination, and it could not be calculated with common sense. The wind sword spell is only my weakest sword spell. Let's see how you are going to handle my wind storm sword spell. Chin. Inside the Sword Realm artist's storage ring was a huge amount of top-rank great swords. A dim light flashed once, and another 8 top-rank great swords appeared. These 8 swords were just like the previous ones, all with the wind element. They could bring out the power of the wind element sword spell to its limit. Go! The 16 swords formed a sword spell that was 10 times more complicated than the wind sword spell. It was like a tornado attacking toward Yi Chen. The whole sky and the ground were filled with the intense sword chi, and the wind started to roar. 39 sword attacks. Although Yi Chen's achievement in the defensive sword spell was not unprecedented, at least until now, no one had been able to surpass him. Sidu Hao, who had exchanged the defensive sword spell with him, had only reached the level of 19 sword attacks. 39 sword shadows shot out with a speed that was not slower than the windstorm sword spell. Boom, boom, boom. The power of the windstorm sword spell was not to be underestimated. This time the two were evenly matched. The windstorm sword spell and the 39 sword shadows had all been shattered, and the great swords had been blown back. What kind of realm has this guy's defensive sword spell reached? The sword realm artist had a bad look on his face. Because he did not spend all of his effort on the defensive sword spell, he had only managed to reach the level of 25 sword attacks. But it was already quite good. Plus, the sword spell did not have a high requirement for the defensive sword spell because the sword spell was a whole, not a single sword. 25 sword attacks were already enough for him to perform any sword spell he had learned. Looking at the 16 wind element great swords floating in front of him, the sword realm artist looked embarrassed again. Among these swords, some of them had been damaged and their power had been reduced drastically. Plus, he did not have all the top-rank swords in his storage ring, so he had spent a lot of time collecting them. Putting away all of the wind element great swords, the sword realm artist took a deep breath and waved his hand. 36 top-rank great swords shining with thunder light appeared. My most powerful sword spell is the thunder sword spell. If your defensive sword spell is only at this level, then you will die for sure. The sword realm artist said with a cold look. I have said it before, bring out your most powerful power. Otherwise this battle will be over soon. You are looking for death. The sword realm artist groaned. The thunder element great swords in front of him quickly formed a lightning-like sword spell. As the sword spell was formed, a huge amount of thunder and lightning gathered together. After being strengthened by the sword spell, its power continued to increase. The sword light in front of the sword spell kept on shooting out, causing the space to crack open and turn pitch black. There is a huge battle over there. It is the sword realm artist. Who is the other one? The huge battle had attracted two people nearby. They were both sword artists and their sword aura was extremely powerful. If there were people who knew them, they would be able to tell that they were the giant sword artist and the short sword artist from the Sky Sword Continent's top 10 sword artist. It is Yichen. I did not expect to see the most legendary sword art genius of our true spirit continent here. On the other side, 3 people had appeared as well. They were all from the true spirit continent, just like Feng Piaoling and Ji Hairua from Luo Tiandu. They were all top warriors of the previous generation, and were on the life and death realm substitute list. As for why they recognized Yi Chen, it was because they had seen Yi Chen's picture before. This is not good. Yi Chen's opponent is the sword realm artist, who is ranked 4th on the life and death realm substitute list. Even Brother Luo might not be able to win against him. Yi Chen is still not mature enough after all. The bulky teenager frowned. Indeed. But Yi Chen being able to force the sword realm artist to use his thunder sword spell is already extremely powerful. All he is lacking is his cultivation. The 3 were worried. Ah, this brat is indeed powerful. Unfortunately, the sword realm artist's thunder sword spell is his most powerful sword spell. I am afraid that one attack would be enough to kill this brat. The giant sword artist rubbed his chin as he chuckled. Aren't those some old friends from the true spirit continent? Wait until the sword realm artist kills this brat. We cannot let them go. The short sword artist's eyes landed on the 3 from the true spirit continent. Above the valley, the sword realm artist and Yi Chen were a couple of miles apart. Pointing out his sword finger, the thunder sword spell shone with a bright thunder light, attacking toward Yi Chen within a second. The whole world was dyed a dark blue color with lightning flashing everywhere. Chapter 852. The Wind Sword Spell and the Wind Storm Sword Spell were wind element sword spells, which required a very high level of mastery in the Wind Profound. On the other hand, the Thunder Sword Spell was a thunder element sword spell, which required an even higher level of mastery. If the mastery was not up to par, then the Thunder Sword Spell would have a flaw, and its power would not be able to reach its limit. Even the Sword Realm artist did not know how powerful the Thunder Sword Spell was, because in order to push it to its limit, the mastery of the Thunder Profound would have to reach completion. Right now, the Sword Realm artist had only learned 90% of the Thunder Profound. But of course, compared to 10 years ago, he had improved a lot. 10 years ago, his Thunder Profound was only at 70% completion. Although his Thunder Profound was only at 90% completion, Combined with the Thunder Sword spell, its power was still not something normal warriors at the third level of the Life and Death Challenge could handle. Once the sword spell appeared, the whole place was filled with thunder sounds. Endless thunder yuan chi gathered on top of the sword spell, causing it to change drastically. Pop, 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 pop. The space kept on shattering as the Thunder Sword spell attacked toward Yi Chen like lightning. What a powerful sword spell. I am afraid that even the Sword Snake spell would not be able to compete with it. The defensive sword spell had a lot of attacking sword spells, and the giant sword spell was one of the simplest ones. However, the Sword Snake spell could only be performed after all 33 swords had been performed. Just like the Sword Realm Artist's Wind Sword spell and the Thunder Sword spell, the Sword Snake spell actually contains some of the profoundness of the sword spell as well. If one Sword Snake spell is not enough, then I will use two. Thoughts spun in his mind as Yi Chen put up his index and middle fingers, pointing toward the incoming Thunder Sword spell. Chin, chin. The Broken Blood Sword and the other semi-extreme rank sword, the Black Scorpion Sword, took out of their scabbards automatically. The two swords turned into 33 sword shadows, which then combined in the air and turned into two sword snakes with a cold light. They twisted together in a spiral shape, looking like two huge silver snakes. Looking from afar, the sky was filled with sword chants. Rumble. The Spring Thunder Sword formation clashed with the two sword snakes, causing the space to distort and shatter. The vast sword light flattened the entire valley. The few sword lights with the strongest power left deep sword marks on the ground like abysses. High up in the sky, thunder and lightning flew everywhere, and the sword chi crisscrossed. It was a scene of doomsday. The Spring Thunder Sword formation was, after all, the strongest sword formation of the Sword Realm Artist. It would be hard to resist it with just the Sword Snake art. The Spring Thunder Sword formation, which was much dimmer than before, broke through all the obstacles and continued towards Yi Chen. A sword formation is a sword formation after all. Shaking his head, Yi Chen held the evil vanquishing sword in his right hand and pulled it out. A black crescent sword energy landed on the Spring Thunder Sword formation and forcefully split it open. Voila! Countless swords flickered with electric light as they flew about chaotically, and half of them were chipped. Come back. The Sword Realm Artist was shocked and angry. He immediately called back all the Thunder Elemental swords. As the Thunder Elemental swords returned, the Sword Realm Artist glanced at them and said angrily, "Damn it." Among the 36 Thunder Elemental swords, 13 of them were chipped and had dimmed. Impossible. The Sword Realm Artist's Spring Thunder Sword formation was broken? Marquis Giant Sword's face was full of disbelief, his mouth unable to close. He can actually use the defensive sword art in two places at the same time. Where did this guy come from? Moreover, that last sword attack seemed to be catching up to Marquis Sword Star's Moonlight Cut. Marquis Short Sword said seriously. On the side of True Spirit Continent, the muscular youngster sucked in a deep breath. Unbelievable, truly unbelievable. No wonder the legendary martial genius title had fallen on Yi Chen after Shen Ho, and not Duguju or Dantai Mingyue. Back when he was a disciple of a rank 9 martial school, he had never tasted defeat. After arriving at the Sky Martial region, he even managed to suppress geniuses like Duguju and finally reached the top. It has only been a couple of years, and even the young geniuses of our generation can no longer suppress him. The geniuses of the previous generation were naturally not as talented as the geniuses of the new generation. But they had more time to accumulate. Logically speaking, it would still take a couple of years for the new generation to catch up. But it was obvious that Yi Chen had already accumulated enough in a couple of years, and did not need to wait for a couple more years. Impressive. The other two forced a chuckle, feeling a bit more respect for Yi Chen. Flying Sword Spell. Sword Realm Artist was also a straightforward person. Seeing that even his most powerful Thunder Sword spell could not do anything to Yi Chen, he immediately took out 12 intact Wind Element Great Swords, forming a sword spell that looked like a flying bird. The sword spell appeared under his feet, carrying him as he flew out at an extreme speed. Within a second he was already in the sky. Yi Chen did not expect Sword Realm Artist to leave this easily. Plus, this flying sword spell was way too fast. Last time there were not so many high-level evil spirits gathered together. Qin Tianxiong's face was unsightly. Be careful. Yi Chen reminded him. The Life and Death Palace was a huge palace with interweaving black and white colors. Its scale was enormous and one could not even see the edge of the palace. It was like a huge city. On the plaza in front of the palace's entrance, many young experts had gathered. The young experts who could stay in the core region and come to the Life and Death Palace were naturally extraordinary. They were all elites among elites, experts among experts. Among them there were 7 from Blood Sky Continent. Young Elephant, Young Snake, Young Eagle, Young Undying Demon, Tai Quangzuan, Lan Sanmei and Ling Hui. On Sky Sword Continent's side, there were 6, 3 of which were Marquis Sword Realm, Marquis Giant Sword, and Marquis Short Sword. On True Spirit Continent's side there were the most: Luo Qindu, Ji Hairua by Wuxia, Lu Xiaoyu, Xiaohozuan, Xiaochuhe, Duguju, Dantai Mingyue, Chu Zhongtian, and Yen Fengfeng. Apart from the 3 continents, there were also close to 10 people from overseas. 2 of them were acquaintances of Yi Qin. One was Yu Bingxin's aunt, Yu Lingshuang, and the other was the Crown Prince of Blackwater Alliance, Wang Tai. So many experts. Wang Tai's complexion turned somewhat unsightly. Admittedly, some of the young experts in front of the Life and Death Palace were lucky and didn't encounter any great danger. However, most of them had relied on their own strength to enter. There were a few that even made Wang Tai feel a trace of fear, such as Young Elephant Lord of Blood Sky Continent, Sky Sword Continent's Spruce Youngster, and True Spirit Continent's Luo Tiandu. These 3 had already reached the peak of the 3rd layer of Life and Death Chamber, and their auras were frightening. Sure enough, there's always someone stronger. I wonder if Yi Qin made it in. With his potential, it shouldn't be difficult for him to enter the core region. I'm just afraid that he might encounter some super experts and get killed. Yu Lingshuang's arrival in Life and Death Palace was largely due to luck. She naturally didn't doubt Yi Qin's potential. However, in Life and Death's secret realm, before one's strength reached its peak, one still needed a bit of luck. If one's luck was bad and he ran into a high-ranking Life and Death substitute list member, everything pointed to disaster. Swish. Behind the numerous young experts of Blood Sky Continent, a figure shrouded in golden flames rapidly approached. Faintly, it seemed to be a woman. Everybody's gazes turned over. However, not a single one of them recognized the newcomer. Of course, apart from one person. It's her. Wang Tai's eyes narrowed. When entering Life and Death's secret realm, he had encountered this woman and was even forcefully knocked away, causing him to suffer a small loss. Naturally, he had a deep impression of her. Humph. She actually passed above Blood Sky Continent's people. I'm afraid she's going to suffer. Wang Tai sneered. Come down. Young Snake Lord had a gloomy and cold temperament. Behind him, a huge 9-headed snake phantom appeared. The phantom was 300 meters tall, and one of its sinister-looking serpent heads charged toward the golden flames. Amidst the golden flames, Su Jing stretched out her hand and grabbed the serpent's horn. With a forceful shake, the horn shattered inch by inch, and the frightening power spread to the serpent's head, shattering it along with half of its body. A powerful chi fluctuation spread out like a tsunami. Who is this woman? So powerful? Even young Snake Lord can't stop her? Everybody was astonished. Chapter 853. Having lost face in front of everyone, young Snake Lord felt very embarrassed. However, he didn't dare to continue looking down on Su Jing. Each head of a 9-headed snake had its own unique ability. The long-horned head that had just been destroyed was the strongest of the 9 heads. It specialized in strength, and in the Blood Sky Continent, other than young Elephant Lord, no one dared to ignore the attacks of the long-horned head. But facing Su Jing, it couldn't even block a casual shake from her. It could be seen how terrifying her strength was. Wind, rain, thunder, ice. Young Snake Lord roared. 4 heads of the 9-headed snake phantom stretched out and shot wind blades, water balls, lightning, and ice at Su Jing. The 4 energies were clearly separated. Even a 3rd-layer Life and Death Chamber expert would have to retreat, not daring to face them head-on. Break! Golden flames gushed out from Su Jing's body. Her long hair fluttered in the wind as she punched out. The space suddenly shook and several pitch-black holes appeared. After a sky-shaking explosion, the 4 energies were repelled by Su Jing's attack. What a powerful strength! On Blood Sky Continent's side, everyone was discussing spiritedly, especially young Elephant Lord, whose eyes lit up. He was different from young Tiger Lord. The battle elephant bloodline in his body had already returned to its ancestral state, and was exactly the same as his ancestor, the ancient battle elephant. He was born with boundless strength, and a single punch of his had the force of over 1,000,000 jin. Su Jing's strength made him eager to hunt. My Battle Elephant clan worships strength. Strength is everything. This woman's strength is no small matter. Moreover, she seems to be a demonic beast as well. Young Elephant Lord's eyes flickered as he looked at Su Jing. Now let's see how you block. Young Snake Lord was in a difficult position. He somewhat regretted provoking Su Jing, but since he had already made his move, he couldn't give up halfway. Otherwise, others would think that he was afraid of the opponent. Leaping up, young Snake Lord unleashed a ferocious attack on Su Jing. A huge 9-headed snake phantom appeared behind him. The 9 heads danced in the air, twisting the space around them. Each of the heads possessed a unique ability such as ramming, spitting out various types of energy, or opening their mouths to produce an unparalleled suction and binding force. The 9-headed serpent was one of the top demonic beasts in the ancient era. Even though young Serpent Lord only had half of the 9-headed serpent's bloodline and was considered a perfect demonic beast, his comprehension ability far surpassed demonic beasts. That was why his battle prowess wasn't any weaker than powerful demonic beasts. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to fight against young Elephant Lord. Bang, bang, bang. The golden flames around Su Jing's body were a result of her vital qi reaching the pinnacle. Not only did her punches and kicks contain boundless might, but they were also as fast as lightning. No matter how fierce young Snake Lord's attacks were, he couldn't break through her defenses. Instead, she forced him to retreat, unable to stand stably. Too powerful. The spectators' mouths slightly opened. Who was young Snake Lord? He was in existence ranked 7th on the life and death substitute list. Those who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him could be counted on one hand. However, Su Jing was clearly a newcomer. She seemed to be in her 20s, yet she could suppress young Snake Lord. Eat my fist as well. The golden flames erupted as Su Jing roared and punched at young Snake Lord. In an instant, the sky darkened and stars flickered like a galaxy. In the pitch-black galaxy, a planet shattered and its location was right in front of young Snake Lord. Block for me. Young Snake Lord's eyelids twitched crazily. This was a sign of danger. He crossed his arms, blocking his chest and head. At the same time, the 9 heads of the 9-headed snake phantom interwove and formed a huge barrier in front of young Snake Lord. Rumble. This fist art was too tyrannical. The 9-headed snake phantom shattered layer by layer, ultimately landing on young Snake Lord's protective Zhen Yuan. The protective Zhen Yuan shattered, and young Snake Lord's crossed arms immediately transmitted an earth-shattering power. This power had already surpassed young Snake Lord's limit. How could he block it? His feet rubbed the ground as he shot out. After retreating for 10 li, young Snake Lord spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his complexion turned pale gold. Young Snake Lord had been defeated. Wang Tai's scalp went numb. He rejoiced inwardly that he hadn't provoked the opponent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to block Su Jing's final fist. After all, he was still lacking compared to young Snake Lord. After defeating young Snake Lord, Su Jing directly flew toward True Spirit Continent's group. She's from True Spirit Continent? Luo Tian was astonished. Duguju, Chu Zhongtian and the rest creased their brows. Since when had another monstrous genius appeared on True Spirit Continent? Moreover, she seemed more ferocious than anyone else. At the very least, neither Duguju nor Chu Zhongtian had the confidence to defeat her. Ha Luo Tian, your True Spirit Continent isn't bad. A super powerful newcomer has popped out of nowhere. What? You don't seem to recognize her? Young Elephant Lord was somewhat astonished that Su Jing could defeat young Snake Lord. However, he was confident that he wouldn't lose to anyone, including Luo Tian. Luo Tian smiled indifferently. Young Elephant Lord, my True Spirit Continent has a lot of newcomers. You'll get to see them if there's an opportunity. Is that so? Then I'll wait and see. Young Elephant Lord didn't really care about Luo Tian's words. Don't tell me that all the newcomers of True Spirit Continent have the strength of young Snake Lord? Don't joke around. In Sky Sword Continent's square formation, the spruce-like youngster smiled. Life and Death Palace will open in a while. A life and death token can only allow 4 people to enter. When peak-level evil spirits appear, we should discuss the distribution in advance to avoid disputes. Almost no one could kill a peak-level evil spirit alone. If they wanted to kill a peak-level evil spirit, they would have to work together. Usually, a peak-level evil spirit would appear before the opening of the Hall of Life and Death. Marquis Swordstar, how do you think we should distribute it? Young Elephant Lord asked. Marquis Swordstar was ranked first on the Life and Death substitute list, head of Sky Sword Continent's 10 swords. His strength was unfathomable, and he was the most apprehensive young expert. Marquis Swordstar said, "How about this? Our 3 continents will have 3 formations and the ocean continent will have 1. 4 formations will take turns. Let's start with True Spirit Continent." "Alright, I have no objections." Luo Tian nodded. "I have no objections either." It didn't matter who went first or second. Young Elephant Lord nodded in agreement. The 4 formations each occupied a position and calmly waited. But suddenly, a spatial fluctuation appeared on the plaza, and a horned humanoid evil spirit appeared. Brr. The humanoid evil spirit faced the sky and roared. A frightening savage aura radiated in every direction. Even Marquis Swordstar, Young Elephant Lord, and Luo Tian felt an enormous pressure. If Lu Wujin were here, he would have immediately recognized that this was the top-level evil spirit that had killed him. At this moment, it had unexpectedly appeared in front of Life and Death Palace. "Everyone, don't hold back. Kill it together." Luo Tian roared and took the initiative to attack. The others didn't dally either, taking out their own trump cards. Including Su Jing, there were a total of 11 people on True Spirit Continent. Each of them was a peak genius, and when they joined hands, their might was boundless. Even a peak evil spirit couldn't resist them. In a few blinks of an eye, the humanoid evil spirit was blasted into pieces, and a life and death token floated out. Soon the second peak evil spirit arrived. According to the agreement, this time, it was the turn of the overseas team with the second largest number of top-grade evil spirits. Although the number of people on True Spirit Continent couldn't compare to True Spirit Continent, they easily dealt with a peak evil spirit and obtained a life and death token. Next was Blood Sky Continent and then Sword Sky Continent. After one round, each formation obtained a life and death token, which could allow 4 people to enter Life and Death Palace. The other 3 formations only lacked 1 token, while True Spirit Continent lacked 2. Too easy. Yuling Shuang sighed. She had encountered a peak evil spirit before and immediately fled in fright. But now, a peak evil spirit was easily killed without any effort. It could be said that the 4 formations on the scene were definitely the 4 peak youths of Elysium. A 5th formation couldn't be found. The second round ended, and the 4 formations each obtained a life and death token. "We're still lacking 1. Luo Tian said inwardly. "Why isn't Yichen here yet? Once Life and Death Palace opens, peak evil spirits won't appear. Could he have been killed? Or perhaps he died at the hands of a peak evil spirit." Ji Hairua had seen Yichen in Life and Death Secret Realm, so she knew that Yichen was very powerful. Among the young experts present, there weren't more than 10 who were stronger than him. Apart from Ji Hairua, a few others also had an impression of Yichen, such as Duguju, Chu Zhongtian, Su Jing and Lan Sanmei. "It's here." Luo Tian's eyes brightened as another peak evil spirit appeared in his sight. "Kill?" The people of True Spirit Continent didn't show any mercy. However, Su Jing, Duguju and Chu Zhongtian didn't make a move. They didn't want to deal with the evil spirit so quickly, because once it was killed, Life and Death Palace would open in a short while, and those who didn't make it would lose the opportunity to enter. Life and Death Palace had its own unique rules. After all, True Spirit Continent had the advantage in numbers. If a few people didn't make a move, the evil spirit wouldn't be able to resist. After half the time it took to brew a cup of tea, a life and death token appeared. Luo Tian thoughtfully sized up those who didn't make a move and sighed inwardly. Crick. Life and Death Palace's gates slowly opened, and no more peak evil spirits appeared on the plaza. "Let's go in." The people of Blood Sky Continent entered first, and 2 tokens were sucked in. Then, the people of Sky Sword Continent and Ocean Continent followed. "Let's go in as well." Luo Tian led the way. Too late. Duguju was somewhat disappointed. In fact, 3 tokens could allow 12 people to enter, while True Spirit Continent only had 11. Since Yichen had arrived, there was still a chance. The last to enter was Su Jing. Before entering, she glanced back once before stepping in. But the last token disappeared without a trace. The time of a life and death token was very short. After this time, the token would be taken away by Life and Death Palace. Damn, we're late. In the distance, 2 figures flew over. The one speaking was Qin Tianxiong. Not necessarily. Yichen took out a life and death token from his storage ring. What? You have a life and death token? Qin Tianxiong's mouth was wide open as if he had thought of a possibility. Chapter 854. Under Qin Tianxiong's astonished gaze, Yi Chen threw the life and death tag toward the gate of the life and death palace. The gate was already open, but a layer of black and white interweaving energy barrier appeared. As soon as the tag touched the barrier, a gap immediately appeared. Come, let's go in. Yi Chen's body flickered into the life and death palace. This Yi Chen will probably shock the whole world. Although Qin Tianxiong didn't ask where Yi Chen got the tag, there were only two ways to obtain it. One was to join hands with others and kill a top-rank evil spirit, and the other was to kill a top-rank evil spirit alone. The former possibility was relatively low, because it was hard to run into them in life and death secret realm. As soon as he entered the life and death palace, dozens of gazes landed on Yi Chen's body. The owners of these gazes were all young experts with sharp gazes. Even Yi Chen couldn't ignore them. As for Qin Tianxiong, his body shivered as he almost made a fool out of himself. Yi Chen. Yi Chen, you're finally here. Yi Chen, long time no see. Brother Yi. Yi Chen was like a superstar, the object of everyone's attention. As one of the true Spirit Seven, Qin Tianxiong could be said to have a bit of fame. However, at this moment he had become a side character that no one paid attention to. Following behind Yi Chen, almost no one paid any attention to him. Who is this guy? He seems to be getting a lot of attention. Strange. How can a newcomer be so popular? People from Blood Sky Continent and Sky Sword Continent were confused. Marquis Giant Sword and Marquis Short Sword's expressions froze upon seeing Yi Chen's appearance. A cold light flickered in Marquis Giant Sword and Short Sword's faces were full of fear. They had witnessed Yi Chen's strength with their own eyes, so they didn't find it strange that Yi Chen was getting so much attention. After all, with Yi Chen's battle strength, it was impossible for him to not have any fame. That's right, how did he get in here? It's impossible to enter the Hall of Life and Death without a Life and Death badge. Could it be that he has the strength to kill a top-grade evil spirit? Impossible. He must have joined forces with others to kill a top-grade evil spirit. Didn't you see that there was another person with him? There were probably quite a few people who joined forces with him. In the end, only the two of them were left. Almost no one believed that Yi Chen had the strength to kill a top-grade evil spirit by himself. Or rather, they didn't want to believe it, and each and every one of them came up with a reasonable explanation. The first few voices didn't cause Yi Chen's expression to change. However, the soft voice at the end caused Yi Chen's heart to tremble. His gaze swept across the crowd excitedly before finally landing on a beautiful and quiet woman. Su Jing. After so many years, the two of them finally met again. Yi Chen walked up and used his finger power to carve his name on the steel. Swish. As soon as the two words Yi Chen appeared, he immediately rushed to the first place. Such a high life aura. Among the dozens of people before him, some of them are demonic beasts at the second layer of life and death chamber, but their life aura can't even compare to his. Many people revealed a surprised expression. Ling Hui also left his name, but he wasn't even in the top 3. After all, he wasn't a demonic beast, and his cultivation base didn't have an advantage. Next, apart from young Undying Demon Lord, Marquis Star Sword and Chu Zhongtian, almost all the young experts left their names. Unfortunately, the first place was still Yi Chen, which puzzled many people. It should be known that Luo Qindu and Tai Kuangzuan were both experts at the third layer of life and death chamber. They were all humans, so there was no reason for their life aura to be lower than Yi Chen's. This Yi Chen. I'm afraid he's not so simple. Luo Qindu said inwardly. Damn it. His life aura is actually higher than mine. Wang Tai was annoyed. Previously, killing Yi Chen was as easy as lifting a finger. But now the latter's life aura was even higher than his. This was unacceptable to him. He must have cultivated some life-saving method, making his life aura higher than ordinary people's. But life-saving doesn't count as battle power. Wang Tai didn't forget that Yi Chen still had a huge amount of Zhenyuan crystals on him, which belonged to Blackwater Alliance. Marquis Star Sword has gone up. With his cultivation base, he should be the first. Under everyone's attentive gazes, Marquis Star Sword left his name. Swish. Rank second. Marquis Star Sword couldn't surpass Yi Chen. Interesting? Marquis Star Sword didn't get angry, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Yen Fengfeng was third, and Divine Shark Princess Sharuoqing was fifth. Young experts left their names one after another, but none of them could surpass Yi Chen. Let me try. Duguju's Dantai Mingyue's ranking wasn't anything special, and Chu Zhongtian, who had the evil spirit body, hadn't tried yet. This time Yi Chen's ranking was almost pulled down. Chu Zhongtian's life aura was too powerful, and he almost rushed to the first place several times. However, Yi Chen's life aura was extremely tenacious, and he managed to maintain his position. Young Snake Lord's injuries had already recovered. He sneered, thinking that he would have no problem taking the first place. After all, his cultivation base wasn't inferior to anyone. He had long since reached the peak of the third layer of Life and Death Chamber, and he had half Hydra bloodline. From the small chamber, the walls were clearly made of a special crystal. One could see outside but not inside, just like the special glass of Yi Chen's world. The large chamber was 1,000 meters wide. Lan Sanmei and Marquis Giant Sword stood several hundred meters apart, facing each other. Die. Marquis Giant Sword's weapon was a huge sword that was even bigger than him. He rapidly approached Lan Sanmei and slashed at Lan Sanmei with a rainbow-like sword chi. Ding. Lan Sanmei's blade arts were extremely tyrannical. With a single blade strike, he sent Marquis Giant Sword's huge sword flying. Then, with a swipe of his blade, Marquis Giant Sword's head flew into the air, blood splattering everywhere. Formidable. Worthy of being Demoness Blade Lan Sanmei. Demonic Blade Sex. Demonic Blade Arts are simply a trump card in close combat. Lan Sanmei dealt with Marquis Giant Sword in 2 blade strikes, causing many to cry out in alarm. Damn it. In the small chamber, Marquis Giant Sword's body condensed, without the slightest injury. In the Life and Death Palace, there was no need to worry about death. After the two's battle ended, 2 more names shone on the steel, Duguju and Young Eagle Lord. I wonder what level Duguju's strength has reached. In the small chamber, Yi Chen attentively watched Duguju. The latter's hair was snow white, and his brows were brimming with a sharp killing intent. It was as if he was born for slaughter. Eagle piercing the sky. Young Eagle Lord didn't put Duguju in his eyes at all. He was one of the top geniuses in the Blood Sky continent, and he and Lan Sanmei were known as the twin stars of demonic beasts. His talent and comprehension were even higher than Young Elephant Lord and Young Undying Demon Lord. If not for the fact that he was only in his 30s, which was 10 years younger than Young Elephant Lord, he might even be the leader of the younger generation in the Blood Sky continent. The demonic power eagle, which contained its talent, pounced at Duguju with lightning speed, locking onto Duguju's life force. Duguju was expressionless. Clang. The blade was unsheathed. A blade slashed out. Swish. The demonic power eagle was split into 2, and the pale white blade light went straight for Young Eagle Lord's head. Young Eagle Lord's scalp went numb. What kind of blade art was this? It actually made him feel despair from the depths of his soul. Screech. Young Eagle Lord turned into a huge eagle demon and soared into the sky, dodging the blade light. You think you can dodge it? Young Eagle Lord's movement was fast, but Duguju's was even faster. He also leapt into the sky and launched a second blade attack. Puchi. One of Young Eagle Lord's wings was chopped off by the blade light, and blood splattered everywhere. Third blade attack. A huge hole appeared on Young Eagle Lord's chest, and the blade light pierced through his body. What a powerful blade art. Is this the strength of a genius blade artist of True Spirit Continent? Lan Sanmei's brows creased. She was also a blade artist, but there were 2 people who made her apprehensive. One was Thunder Spirit King and the other was Duguju. If Thunder Spirit King's blade art could be said to be unparalleled, then Duguju's blade art could only give people despair. Young Eagle Lord didn't make much progress. Although his cultivation base has increased a lot, his battle technique has only improved a bit. He can't keep up with the times. Young Elephant Lord shook his head. Young Eagle Lord wasn't lacking in comprehension, but temperament. The false reputation of the demon twin stars had made him arrogant and complacent, causing him to stagnate. On the other hand, Lan Sanmei was much more hardworking than him. The third battle was between Marquis Sword Star and Ji Hairua. Make your move. Marquis Sword Star faintly smiled at Ji Hairua. I'm going to face him so soon? Ji Hairua felt bitter. With her strength, she was absolutely not Marquis Sword Star's opponent. Of course, she couldn't admit defeat either. Even if she lost, she had to fight. Bang. With both hands in a circle, a huge Zhenyuan cauldron appeared in front of Ji Hairua. The cauldron shot out with a majestic momentum. This was Cauldron King Sek's unique attack method. Marquis Sword Star stood motionlessly and waved the sword in his hand. A speck of starlight pierced through the cauldron and pierced Jihirua's throat. Jihirua was defeated. The gap is too big. Marquis Sword Star is worthy of being called Marquis Sword Star. The #1 sword artist of Elysium's younger generation is none other than him. Marquis Sword Star's sword arts caused many people to gasp in amazement. His sword arts are indeed powerful, but whether he's the #1 sword artist or not, we'll have to fight to know. Chu Zhongqian wasn't convinced by anyone. If he had to pick one person, it would be Yi Qin. The battle for points progressed quickly because everyone had taken out their trump cards. They wanted to end the battle as soon as possible without letting the others notice anything. After all, when two people's strength was about the same, the trump card was very important, and so was the individual's fighting skill. It was impossible to be fair, so it could only depend on the individual's choice. Su Jing's life aura was the highest and she was ranked first. It was unknown if it was a coincidence, but her opponent was the one with the lowest life aura. The result could be easily imagined. The steel flickered once again, and Yi Qin and Marquis Short Sword's names shone. Seeing that his opponent was Yi Qin, Marquis Short Sword cursed inwardly. He would rather fight with Yi Qin later than be abused so early. As long as I can withstand one sword strike, it'll be fine. Marquis Short Sword set a goal for himself. Battle begin. Rip. The battle was over. A sword hole appeared on Marquis Short Sword's forehead. Chapter 856. This battle ended too quickly, so quickly that many people were not prepared for it. It was as if you wanted to watch an incomparably exciting battle, but just as you came back to your senses, the battle was already over, and you could not even savor the aftertaste. What's going on? Marquis Short Sword is too careless. Can't you at least endure a few more moves? Although Yi Qin's attack was fast, some people still believed that Marquis Short Sword had been too careless. Otherwise, with Marquis Short Sword's status as one of the 10 swords of the Heavenly Sword Continent, it was impossible for him to be unable to even receive a single attack. The Short Sword Marquis was on the verge of tears. How could he have been careless? He really couldn't even block a single sword strike from Yi Qin. Not only was it fast, but it also had no trajectory. He couldn't even muster the strength to block it. Damn it, it's finally over. Although it's a little ugly, the others might not be any better. I'm waiting to see them make a fool of themselves. Humans were like this. If they couldn't do it themselves, they would hope to see others unable to do it. This was the logic of throwing caution to the wind. What a fast sword. Others couldn't see through it, but that didn't mean that Marquis Sword Star couldn't. Among everyone present, only he knew how terrifying Yi Qin's sword was. Interesting, I finally found a swordsman that I can fight seriously. Marquis Sword Star revealed a smile. Apart from Marquis Sword Star and Marquis Sword Realm, Sky Sword Continent also had a stunning genius sword artist. Marquis Sword Snow. Marquis Sword Snow looked to be in his early 20s, similar to Yi Qin's Deguju. His real age was estimated to be no more than 30. His appearance was extremely delicate, like a boy next door. However, as soon as he appeared, the other 5 people from Sky Sword Continent, including Marquis Sword Star, all turned serious. As for how powerful Marquis Sword Snow was, none of them knew. Moreover, the existence of the life and death secret realm had greatly increased his cultivation base, like adding wings to a tiger. Marquis Sword Snow's opponent was Lu Xiaoyu, who also used a sword. Standing 100 meters away from Marquis Sword Snow, Lu Xiaoyu didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. Although Marquis Sword Snow's body wasn't emitting any sword aura, as a sword artist, he could faintly sense that Marquis Sword Snow's strength was unfathomable and extremely frightening. The battlefield was silent. Neither of them made the first move. After about a quarter of a cup of tea's time, many people began to become impatient. Clang. Lu Xiaoyu drew his sword. The moment his sword was unsheathed, the void was filled with sharp air currents. These air currents were incomparably sharp and were everywhere. They were condensed from sword chi. Marquis Sword Snow revealed a bright smile. Snowflakes danced in the air. So beautiful. Jihirua could not help but think. The snowflakes grew larger and larger, and a breathtaking wisp of blood shot out and dyed a large expanse of snowflakes red. It was like a colorful ink painting. Lu Xiaoyu was defeated. From start to finish, Lu Xiaoyu didn't even see how Marquis Sword Snow attacked. Snow profound and water profound, both at 80% completion. Yi Chen sucked in a deep breath. Marquis Sword Snow's strength had truly exceeded his expectations. The Snow Profound actually belonged to the Water Profound, but there were some natural variations. The combination of the two profounds allowed Marquis Sword Snow's sword arts to be soft and gentle. Combining different profounds would result in different meanings. For example, the combination of the Wind Profound and Fire Profound, or the combination of the Metal Profound and Earth Profound would result in a lot of variations. However, the combination of the Snow Profound and Water Profound would be more focused. Looks like there's going to be another swordsman who I have to take seriously. Marquis Sword Star's brows relaxed as he faintly smiled. Ah, it's my turn. Chu Zhongtian leaped out of the small chamber. I'll defeat you in 3 moves. Chu Zhongtian sized up Wang Tai. In your dreams. Wang Tai's face twitched. First move. Without using any powerful moves, Chu Zhongtian was suppressing his opponent with brute force. The dark red rapier in his hand blossomed with a radiance comparable to the sun. Bang. Wang Tai was forced back 4 steps, and the clothes on his chest were scorched black. Second move. Chu Zhongtian was like a wild horse that had broken free from its reins, charging forward madly. Extending his palm, Wang Tai operated his Zhen Yuan to the limit. His 5 fingers released 5 water dragon-like energies, which intertwined and coiled toward Chu Zhongtian. Break, break, break. Water vapor pervaded the air and a red light flickered. Wang Tai's attack was utterly defeated. Chu Zhongtian was like a primordial beast, crushing him like a hot knife through butter. Third move. Raising the rapier, Chu Zhongtian chopped down. Spurting out a huge mouthful of blood, Wang Tai's chest caved in, and his 5 viscera and 6 bowels were completely shattered. This guy is too violent. The people of True Spirit Continent shook their heads, feeling sorry for Wang Tai. Dantai Mingyue's opponent was Yu Lingshuang. Both of their names had the word moon in them. Their attacks were like moonlight flowing water, faintly discernible and incorporeal. Dantai Mingyue was, after all, a monstrous genius of True Spirit Continent. Yu Lingshuang used all her means but still couldn't do anything to her opponent. In the end she was defeated. She lost wholeheartedly. Young Elephant Lord's appearance immediately ignited the atmosphere. His opponent was none other than Qin Tianxiong, who came together with Yi Chen. The result was without any suspense. Young Elephant Lord punched, seeming to explode the space. Qin Tianxiong almost turned into a bloody mist. Then came Young Undying Demon Lord and Luo Tiandu. Each and every one of them swept through their opponents, not even using half of their strength. After all, it was already commendable for them to use half of their strength. The first round ended very quickly, taking no more than an hour. Although it was only 1 round, it wasn't hard to see who was stronger and who was more unfathomable. Regardless of whether the others were willing or not, they were destined to play supporting roles. Second round. Third round. After 6 rounds, many people had a rough idea. Blood Sky Continent, Young Elephant Lord, Young Undying Demon Lord, and Lan Sanmei were very strong. Sky Sword Continent, Marquis Sword Star, Marquis Sword Snow, and Marquis Sword Realm were also very strong. True Spirit Continent was quite abnormal. Almost half of them were very strong, such as Luo Qiandu, Yi Chen, Su Jing, Duguju, Chu Zhongtian, Dantai Mingyue, and Yen Fengfeng. Among the overseas teams, Godly Shark Princess Sha Ruoqing and Jiang Tian were rather outstanding. 7th round, 5th battle, Yi Chen against Wang Tai. Long time no see. Yi Chen faintly smiled at Wang Tai. Damn it. Wang Tai's face was ashen. In the previous 6 rounds he could already tell that he wasn't Yi Chen's opponent. In such a short time, Yi Chen had actually grown to such a level. This made him extremely unwilling and sullen. After the battle ended, Yi Chen turned around and entered the small chamber. A trace of blood appeared on Wang Tai's forehead. Seems like I've truly underestimated him. Yu Lingshuang hadn't expected this year's Life and Death Secret Realm. Peerless geniuses were popping up one after another. She had even predicted that it would be difficult for Yi Chen to enter the Life and Death Realm substitute list. But now Yi Chen had already become one of the hot contenders for the top 5. It could only be said that her thinking back then was too outdated. This year's Life and Death Secret Realm was different from the previous ones. In the 8th round, Sword Realm Marquis lost to Jiang Tian, causing a small upset. Then Yen Fengfeng lost to Young Undying Demon Lord. Young Undying Demon Lord's undying body was too powerful. The 9th round of the points battle. Chu Zhongtian against Young Undying Demon Lord. Chu Zhongtian didn't dare to be careless and raised his strength to the limit. Young Undying Demon Lord was ranked 5th in the previous Life and Death Realm substitute list. He was one of the hot contenders for the top 3 this time. In many people's opinion, apart from Marquis Sword Star, Luo Qiandu, and Young Elephant Lord, few could contend against him. Of course, Marquis Sword Snow was also included. Marquis Sword Snow's sword arts were too magnificent. Up until now, almost nobody had been able to take a single strike from him. Yi Chen's sword arts were indeed sharp, and he could kill his opponent with a single strike. However, many people still believed that he was inferior to Marquis Sword Snow. Thus, he was naturally inferior to Young Undying Demon Lord. Break! Fire and Earth Astral Yuan burst forth as Chu Zhongtian's entire body leaped up and slashed at Young Undying Demon Lord. Clang! Young Undying Demon Lord sneered and punched at the dark red bar mace. The enormous power blasted Chu Zhongtian away. Chaotic World Demonic Fist. Young Undying Demon Lord charged over, his fists fierce and unstoppable. Ping 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 ping. The two exchanged offense with offense, not putting up any defense. As far as they were concerned, defense was superfluous. The only thing they could do was to vent their attacks on the opponent's body. Too abnormal. Is he still human? Worthy of being Young Undying Demon Lord, the one who could exchange 100 moves with Young Elephant Lord in the last competition. This Chu Zhongtian is also very powerful. He can actually exchange so many moves with Young Elephant Lord. The spectators had rarely seen such an intense battle. They all opened their eyes wide, afraid of missing out on any exciting details. This is the undying body. Chu Zhongtian couldn't hold on any longer. He was a human with a body of flesh and blood. Even if he was an astral body, there was still a limit. On the other hand, Young Undying Demon Lord was completely unkillable. No matter how powerful the attacks were, they couldn't do anything to him. Gradually, blood trickled down the corner of Chu Zhongtian's mouth. More and more blood trickles appeared, wriggling like snakes. Being able to resist so many of my moves, you should be proud of yourself. Young Undying Demon Lord laughed heartily. His fists became fiercer and more tyrannical. Swinging away Chu Zhongtian's right arm, Young Undying Demon Lord's fist landed on his chest. Kacha. Several of Chu Zhongtian's ribs were broken, and one of them pierced through his heart. Young Undying Demon Lord's victory. This guy. Although Young Undying Demon Lord had won, his whole body was covered in cold sweat. His opponent's cultivation base was at the 2nd layer, while he was at the peak of the 3rd layer. Even so, this battle was still very difficult for him to win. He had never seen anyone with such endurance apart from Young Elephant Lord. The 10th round of the battle was about to begin. Young Undying Demon Lord against Yi Chen. Up until now, Young Undying Demon Lord had fought against the most young experts of True Spirit Continent. Apart from those whose strength wasn't that outstanding, he had already defeated 2 popular figures, Yan Fengfeng and Chu Zhongtian. And now it was Yi Chen's turn. He's really in the limelight. Young Elephant Lord smiled. He didn't believe that Yi Chen had the qualifications to contend against Young Undying Demon Lord. I hope his spirit won't be broken by Young Undying Demon Lord. Otherwise it'll be boring. Marquis Sword Star shook his head. He also didn't believe that Yi Chen could defeat Young Undying Demon Lord. In truth, this had nothing to do with strength. Young Undying Demon Lord had an undying body. Even if one's strength was a bit higher than his, one still wouldn't be able to defeat him. In the previous Life and Death substitute list, Young Undying Demon Lord was ranked 5th. The others behind him were not weaker than him, but they all lost to him. There were many people who didn't think highly of Yi Chen. Apart from a few people of True Spirit Continent, not many were optimistic about him. An existence that killed a peak-level evil spirit alone. How could he not defeat Young Undying Demon Lord? Just wait for the shock. Qin Tianxiong sneered. Chapter 857. The chamber was square, 1,000 meters in length, width, and height. In the center of the chamber, Yi Chen and Young Undying Demon Lord were facing each other. Young Undying Demon Lord was very tall, more than 190 meters in height. He stood there like a spear, his black hair fluttering in the wind like a black flag. You're very unfortunate. The corner of Young Undying Demon Lord's mouth curled up. How so? Yi Chen asked. Meeting me is your misfortune. In Young Undying Demon Lord's heart, Lan Sanmei had already become his exclusive property. He would not allow Lan Sanmei to have any friendly male friends. Yi Qin had violated his taboo, which was tantamount to touching his reverse scale. This sentence can also be said the other way around. Yi Qin said indifferently. It's useless to be stubborn now. In a while you won't be able to do so even if you want to. After saying these words, young undying demon lord let out a stern shout. A tyrannical aura spread out like mist and ink, twisting the airflow inside the chamber into a whirlpool. Standing in the center of the airflow, young undying demon lord fiercely raised his Zhenyuan and thrust out a palm. The palm power turned into a sky-covering tsunami, blasting toward Yi Chen with a surging might. Chaotic demon palm. Young undying demon lord is using palm arts. Strange. Seems like young undying demon lord has other plans. Perhaps he thinks that Yi Chen is not enough for him to use his fist arts. In the past, young undying demon lord had never used palm arts when fighting others. But this time he had made an exception. Young undying demon lord's demonic Zhenyuan was extremely robust, perhaps 2 times more robust than an ordinary peak third-layer life and death chamber expert. The surging palm energy contained both firmness and gentleness, completely surrounding Yi Chen. Shortly after, it loudly exploded, forming a catastrophic wave of chi energy that swept over, turning the surroundings turbid. If the young undying demon lord's palm energy was a vast ocean, then Yi Chen was a small boat on it. However, there was a peerless swordsman standing on this small boat, which made it as stable as Mount Tai, light and nimble. Releasing his soul power, Yi Chen sensed that the speed of the huge waves had slowed down. Yi Chen struck with his sword. In an instant he struck out countless times. The hair-thin sword chi advanced against the current, following the vague trajectory of the huge waves and spreading out. Chi. A shocking scene occurred. Countless sword chi followed the young undying demon lord's palm energy and went against the flow. As the culprit, the young undying demon lord was caught unprepared and his defenses were pierced by several sword chi, leaving bloodstains on his body. This is? Marquis Sword Star and Marquis Sword Snow's expressions changed. Yi Chen's sword trajectory was based on the palm energy's flaw. After diverting the palm energy, the black waning moon appeared out of nowhere in front of the young undying demon lord and heavily slashed down. Rumble. The young undying demon lord's protective Zhenyuan disintegrated, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was sent flying, smashing into the wall of the secret chamber with a sky-shaking sound. In the first round, the young undying demon lord had suffered a crushing defeat. Wah! Everybody was stupefied. Yi Chen's battle strength seemed to have only been revealed at this moment, shocking everyone. My metal profound has long since reached 90% completion, and my water profound has also reached 60% completion. As for waning moon, it evolved from golden hurricane. Metal begets water, and as long as the metal profound is not exhausted, the power will be endless. In terms of explosive power, it won't be inferior to chaotic world calamity. In terms of endurance, chaotic world calamity won't be able to catch up. Waning moon could be said to have accompanied Yi Chen's progress. 90% completion of metal profound was perhaps the best in the younger generation. It should be known that the higher one comprehended profound, the more difficult it would be. Many powerful life and death kings only had 1 or 2 profounds at greater completion. As for profound perfection, perhaps only a peerless king like Xianhou could achieve it. Of course, titled monarchs could also achieve it. Achieving multiple profounds to perfection was one of the basic requirements for becoming a titled monarch. Cough, cough. Crawling up from the ground, young undying demon lord coughed out a huge amount of blood, his complexion pale. Recover for me. Black chi surged out of young undying demon lord's body and fused into his body. In the next moment, young undying demon lord's injuries were completely healed, but his complexion was incomparably gloomy. Very good. I was thinking that dealing with you so easily would be too boring. But now it seems like I don't need to worry so much. Young undying demon lord wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and coldly said word by word. You were the main attacker just now. Now it's my turn. Yi Chen didn't put young undying demon lord's words in his heart. Using sword steps, Yi Chen's speed erupted to the limit. From afar, he looked like a beam of sword light, arriving before young undying demon lord in the blink of an eye and thrusting. Sword step was Yi Chen's supreme footwork that combined the 3 great sword daos into one. Its explosive speed over a short distance was unparalleled. The young undying demon lord didn't even have the time to react before his throat was pierced. You can't kill me. Being stabbed in the throat, young undying demon lord turned a blind eye. With a fanatical look in his eyes, he straightened his left palm and clenched his right hand into a fist. A palm and a fist bombarded at close range at Yi Chen's chest. In the face of young undying demon lord's self-destructive fighting style, many people with similar or higher strength would be beaten to death by him. The young experts of True Spirit Continent all held their breaths. Young undying demon lord's undying body was too frightening. They didn't know how Yi Chen would deal with such a situation. Yi Chen, you should have a way, right? Chu Zhongqian had lost to young undying demon lord before, so he clearly knew how frightening he was. Yi Chen also had an undying body, but it might not be comparable to young undying demon lord's. After all, young undying demon lord's undying body originated from the undying demon art, which gave him an obvious innate advantage. However, if they were to trade blows, Yi Chen still had a high chance of killing young undying demon lord. Of course, this was under the condition that he didn't use bewitching mirror shattering. As soon as bewitching mirror shattering was used, young undying demon lord didn't even have the leeway to struggle. It should be known that even peak-level evil spirits couldn't withstand his bewitching mirror shattering. However, Yi Chen didn't plan to use it. After leaving Life and Death Secret Realm, he would have a lot of troubles ahead of him. If he revealed his true ace now, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. After all, if nothing unexpected happened, his future opponents would be Life and Death Kings. Thus he had to set his sights high. Facing young undying demon lord's fist and palm, Yi Chen neither retreated nor dodged. Instead, he suddenly released his sword domain. A huge sword pressure instantly acted on young undying demon lord's body, rendering him unable to move. The distance between the two was too close. The closer one was to the sword domain, the greater the sword pressure one had to endure. No matter how strong young undying demon lord was, he couldn't endure the pressure of sword domain. The evil shattering sword slashed across young undying demon lord's throat. Puchi. Young undying demon lord's head flew high into the sky, blood spraying everywhere. Yi Chen's victory. What? Yi Chen killed young undying demon lord just like that? In everyone's eyes, young undying demon lord's body turned sluggish. Like an idiot, his head was chopped off by Yi Chen's sword. Without reaching the peak of broken limb regrowth realm, having one's head chopped off was impossible to survive. After all, the head was not an arm or a leg but the most important part of the human body. Releasing sword domain, Yi Chen sheathed his sword. Then he turned around and entered the small chamber. The spectators were all stupefied. Yi Chen's frightening strength simply chilled their hearts. If even young undying demon lord was killed like an idiot, how could the others be any better? What kind of ability is this? Some people were also racking their brains. Too powerful. Chu Zhongqian sucked in a breath of cold air. He originally thought that he was already close to Yi Chen, and might even be on par with him. But now, it seemed like it was just his wishful thinking. Facing Yi Chen, he didn't even have 0.5% assurance. Even if his defense was powerful, he would still lose without a doubt. Chapter 858. I actually lost? How is this possible? Just a moment ago, young undying demon lord was still high and mighty, saying that it was Yi Chen's misfortune to run into him. But now he was utterly defeated. Such a huge contrast almost drove young undying demon lord crazy. Lan Sanmei's mocking expression seemed to appear in his mind, making him even more furious and humiliated. In the small chamber, young undying demon lord clenched his fists. His nails pierced his palms, causing blood to drip down. Such a powerful sword pressure, what kind of ability is this? Marquis Sword Star was, after all, a peerless sword artist. The sword pressure released by Yi Chen at the critical moment was sensed by his keen senses, which made him very curious. However, since Yi Chen was very proficient in controlling this ability, releasing and withdrawing it in a flash, even Marquis Sword Star couldn't see through it. He could only guess inwardly. Sword pressure? Seems like I can't get too close to him. Marquis Sword Snow slightly creased his brows. Sword pressure could only be produced when a sword artist attacked. Therefore, its range was limited and its effect was also limited. On the other hand, the sword pressure released from within one's body was frightening. Junior Brother Yi is still Junior Brother Yi. Your progress is truly unimaginable. A smile appeared on Su Jing's face. In this world, she was the first person to sense Yi Chen's astonishing potential. When the two were still disciples of Sky Cloud sect, she had already predicted that Yi Chen would become a peerless sword artist. And now Yi Chen was not far from this goal. There were more than a dozen popular characters on the scene. Often, two of them would bump into each other and erupt into world-shaking battles. Tai Quangzuan, Dan Tai Mingyue. Two names lit up on the steel. It's Tai Quangzuan. Up until now, he hasn't completely transformed. I wonder if this Dan Tai Mingyue can make him go all out. More than half of the popular characters haven't revealed all their trump cards yet. It's hard to say. Tai Quangzuan had been very low-key up until now, but nobody dared to look down on him. Just his ability to completely transform without losing his mind was enough to make people apprehensive. Popular characters against popular characters, the battle was naturally very intense. After dozens of moves, Tai Quangzuan knew that if he didn't go all out, he wouldn't be able to deal with Dan Tai Mingyue. Thus, he made a prompt decision and quickly entered his full devil state. His muscles wriggled and bone spikes filled the air. In the blink of an eye, Tai Quangzuan had turned into a demon that existed only for slaughter. His speed and strength had reached a whole new level. Kill. Tai Quangzuan instantly appeared in front of Dan Tai Mingyue and waved his claw. It was too fast. It was impossible for Dan Tai Mingyue to dodge. If they were to fight head-on, Tai Quangzuan, who had completely turned into a devil, would be able to overpower her. But at that moment, the space around Dan Tai Mingyue distorted along with her body, and she disappeared. Tai Quangzuan's claw missed. Space Profound movement skill. Everyone cried out in alarm. The Space Profound was one of the most powerful Profound, and it was one of the most powerful ones. Merging this Profound into one's movement would allow one to teleport, and the distance of the teleportation would be related to one's comprehension of the Space Profound. Facing Dan Tai Mingyue, who had mastered the Space Profound movement, although Tai Quangzuan's battling power was higher, he would still lose. I got the Space Profound foundation, and Dan Tai Mingyue should have gotten the Space Profound movement. I wonder what Jiang Tian and Xia Hozuan got? Inside the tomb of the four extreme emperor, Yi Chen, Dan Tai Mingyue, Jiang Tian, and Xia Hozuan had all learned one movement of the void-shattering finger art and one key. Therefore, all four of them had gotten some benefits. After beating Tai Quangzuan, Dan Tai Mingyue's popularity had reached another level. She had also become one of the top 5 candidates for the Life and Death Realm substitute list. Next was the battle between Lan Sanmei and Sword Realm Artist. Lan Mei's demonic blade arts were exceedingly powerful in both close combat and ranged combat. Sword Realm Artist's Wind Sword Formation and Tempest Sword Formation were scattered by her with a single slash, and the Thunder Rush Sword Formation was also knocked away, changing its trajectory. In the end, Lan Mei slashed open Sword Realm Artist's body and won. The climaxes came one after another. After 5 battles, the battle between Duguju and Young Snake Lord began. Although Young Snake Lord had been defeated by Su Jing outside the Life and Death Palace, no one thought that he was weak. It was mainly because Su Jing's battling power was too powerful. Her strength might even exceed 1,000,000 Jin, which was comparable to Young Elephant Artist. Moreover, her life aura was ranked number 1, which meant that Su Jing's life level was above everyone else's. Young Snake Lord was not weak, but Duguju was not weak either. When two powerful warriors fought, there was bound to be a winner and a loser. Duguju's blade art was filled with despair and evil chi. His snow-white hair made him look like an evil god. Facing Duguju's blade art, Young Snake Lord was forced to retreat step by step, and his heart was filled with shock. 9 snakes entering body. Left with no other choice, Young Snake Lord used the secret art he had prepared to fight against Young Elephant Artist and the others. This secret art was a secret art of the 9-headed snake clan of the half-demon race. If one's realm was not high enough, it would bring harm to one's body and affect one's future cultivation. Yi Chen's body shattered, but there was no blood spilling out. It was a shadow doppelganger. It turned out that Yi Chen knew that Dan Tai Mingyue could teleport. Unless he used bewitching mirror shattering to lock the opponent in place, it would be impossible to defeat her in one go. Therefore, Yi Chen used a shadow doppelganger to deceive everyone. If it was a normal person who encountered such a situation, they would definitely panic. However, the smile on Dan Tai Mingyue's face did not disappear in the slightest. Her body crumbled like moonlight, turning into specks of light. Unknowingly, another her appeared in another place, and in that place Yi Chen was also there with his back facing her. The spectators were confused. Only a small portion of them could see that after Dantai Mingyue teleported the first time, she left behind a moonlight doppelganger and continued teleporting. She seemed to have guessed that it was not the real Yi Chen. Chapter 859. Yi Chen, you lose? Dantai Mingyue's right hand slapped towards Yi Chen's back without a trace of smoke or fire. It seemed slow, but it was fast. Even Yi Chen couldn't dodge it in such a short time. Worthy of the space teleportation art. In terms of movement speed, there is no way I can surpass her. Yi Chen had done so much just to prove one thing. What realm had Dantai Mingyue's comprehension of the space teleportation art reached? If it was just the first step, it wouldn't be a big problem. With his understanding of space profound, he could easily defeat his opponent. However, what had just happened proved that Dantai Mingyue's space teleportation art had reached a higher level. Sizzle. 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 Dantai Mingyue's palm didn't hurt Yi Chen. From between Yi Chen's right arm and his body, a great sword appeared. The great sword was like a venomous snake hissing, colliding with Dantai Mingyue's gloved palm. The powerful forces canceled each other out, creating a sharp noise that made people's teeth ache. Dantai Mingyue retreated dozens of steps, looking at Yi Chen with astonishment. Did he know that this would happen? Turning around, Yi Chen smiled and said, "Your space profound should have reached a lower level, right? No wonder why you could perform space teleportation." Space teleportation required one to move along the path of space waves. Without a deep understanding of space profound, it was impossible. Dantai Mingyue was indeed a monstrous genius. Before Yi Chen showed up, she and Duguju were called the top two monstrous geniuses. Not bad, but I still fell into your trap. Dantai Mingyue nodded, not denying it. She had obtained the void-shattering finger art a long time ago. With the void-shattering finger art, she had naturally comprehended the space profound. When she had obtained the space teleportation art, her space profound had already reached 20%. That was why she could cultivate the space teleportation art to a higher level in just 1 or 2 years. It can't be considered a scheme. If I wasn't cautious about spatial teleportation, then I would be too careless. Yi Chen shook his head. What a terrifying person. He has almost no flaws. Dantai Mingyue sighed inwardly and said, "Although I couldn't defeat you, you also didn't break my teleportation technique. I wonder what you will do next." Teleportation also requires time. As long as time is needed, there will be a way to break it. Yi Chen said calmly. Since you're so confident, let's start again." The space twisted, and Dantai Mingyue suddenly appeared on the right side of Yi Chen, then on the left side of Yi Chen. Dantai Mingyue's figures were everywhere. Yi Chen understood Dantai Mingyue's purpose of doing this. She wanted to use the space teleportation art to create space ripples, which would naturally confuse people's senses. What Yi Chen didn't know was that the biggest reason why Dantai Mingyue wanted to do this was because he was her opponent. She didn't think that Yi Chen would be defeated so easily. The previous situation was enough to prove it. Space ripples spread everywhere. Dantai Mingyue's silent appearance caused little space ripples, which were hidden in other space ripples. Raising her palm, Dantai Mingyue was about to attack. Sword domain. A majestic sword pressure burst out from Yi Chen's body, instantly affecting Dantai Mingyue's body. Her figure suddenly stagnated, and her palm could no longer move. A cold star lit up. Yi Chen had attacked. Very fast. So fast that Dantai Mingyue was almost killed. A wisp of blood sprayed, and Dantai Mingyue's figure was nowhere to be seen. At the crucial moment, Dantai Mingyue forcibly used spatial teleportation to escape from the sword domain. However, because Yi Chen's sword was too fast, she was still stabbed in the shoulder, leaving a sword scar. This sword pressure. From afar, Dantai Mingyue looked over. It was impossible for Dantai Mingyue not to know that Yi Chen had dealt with the young undying demon lord sword pressure. Now she finally experienced it herself. It was very powerful. Without spatial teleportation, she would have been defeated without any suspense. Indeed troublesome, but there's still a flaw. With a faint smile, Yi Chen walked toward Dantai Mingyue. Dantai Mingyue revealed a doubtful expression, not knowing what Yi Chen was going to do. When the distance between the two was less than 20 meters, Dantai Mingyue couldn't bear it anymore. Her figure twisted and she teleported away. This is the moment. Before Dantai Mingyue disappeared, Yi Chen had already attacked, stabbing toward the upper right. This sword pierced through the space, leaving a pitch-black hole. Dan Tai Mingyue's figure appeared, and her chest was stabbed. Since this sword had even pierced through space, her heart was also shattered by the power of space. Dan Tai Mingyue really wanted to ask how Yi Chen did it. However, she didn't have the time to ask. Where's the flaw? Inside the secret chamber, Dan Tai Mingyue mumbled to herself. Spatial teleportation. Instant is also time. It means that there's a movement path and there's a time axis. As long as we follow the path of the spatial fluctuation, we can intercept it in advance. If Yi Chen could do it, it didn't mean that others could. Yi Chen's soul force was 5 times stronger than ordinary people. At the same time, he was also proficient in space profound. His attainment in space profound was even higher than Dan Tai Mingyue. Breaking the spatial teleportation was just a matter of time. Of course, it didn't mean that other than Yi Chen, there was no one who could be Dan Tai Mingyue's opponent. Without fighting, no one would know what the other party was capable of. Yi Chen's strength didn't need to be mentioned. Dan Tai Mingyue's spatial teleportation made many ponder. When they faced Dan Tai Mingyue, how should they deal with it? Obviously, they couldn't be like Yi Chen, seeing through the flaw and attacking in advance. Next, Duguju and Lan Sanmei met. Both of them were blade artists and their blade arts were unique. One was proficient in the demonic blade arts, and his close and long-range attacks were ridiculously strong. The other used the despair blade intent to push his blade art, like an evil god. Clack, clack. In the secret chamber that was 1,000 meters in length and width, sparks flew everywhere as the blades clashed. Such a strange blade technique. Duguju's palm was numb, and he almost dropped his blade. Duguju wasn't having a good time, but Lan Sanmei wasn't having a good time either. She frowned secretly. Duguju's blade art was too powerful. Although the demonic blade arts could shake the opponent's blade, there was also a rebound force. If her blade strength was 90, then Duguju's was at least 95. Demonic chop. Holding the blade with both hands, Lan Sanmei slashed out. The blade light became blurry, and in an instant no one knew how many times it shook and even the space was shattered. Absolute blade. Duguju's blade art was propelled by the despair blade intent. The stronger the despair blade intent, the more powerful the blade art. Duguju also held his blade with both hands and slashed out. The blade light was deathly white, slashing through the space. Clack. As the two blades clashed, Duguju's arm went numb for a split second. Lan Sanmei seized the opportunity. Taking advantage of the moment when Duguju's arm went numb, she slashed out with her devil blade. Puchi. Duguju's head was sent flying, unable to dodge. Lan Sanmei won. Lost. Everyone from True Spirit Continent revealed a shocked expression. If his cultivation base were the same as mine, I would be the one who lost. Lan Sanmei smiled bitterly. Even before entering the life and death secret realm, her cultivation base had already reached the peak of the first layer. And now, her cultivation base had already broken through to the third layer, while Duguju was only at the second layer. Relying on the disparity in cultivation base, she was able to paralyze her opponent for a split second. At this moment, the 22nd round had already begun. 23rd round, the highlight had arrived. Marquis Sword Snow vs Dan Tai Mingyue. Yi Chen had defeated Dan Tai Mingyue as a sword artist. Many people wanted to know whether Marquis Sword Snow could defeat Dan Tai Mingyue. If he couldn't, then he would most likely not be Yi Chen's opponent. Everyone was very realistic. On the stage, Marquis Sword Snow and Dan Tai Mingyue stood facing each other. This Marquis Sword Snow can't be underestimated. Dan Tai Mingyue didn't see any trace of impulsiveness from Marquis Sword Snow's body. The latter was like an ancient well without ripples. Buzz. This woman's strength is at least in the top 3 of the life and death substitute list. Compared to a battle of skills, Su Jing's crushing style of battle was much more convincing. Moreover, watching a gentle and beautiful woman turn into a goddess of war was also a delightful thing. Following that, there were also some popular contestants competing against each other. However, these were all contestants for the top 5, so they weren't that excited. At present, there were 8 people competing for the top 5. Marquis Sword Star, Marquis Sword Snow, Luo Tiandu, Yi Chen, Su Jing, Dan Tai Mingyue, Young Elephant Lord, and Lan Sanmei. Admittedly, there was a chance of an upset, and a new popular contestant would emerge. However, with the progress of the points battle, such a possibility was too small, almost impossible. Marquis Sword Snow vs. Lan Sanmei. The second to last battle of the 24th round, another peak confrontation began. Marquis Sword Snow, a sword Dao monster of Sky Sword Continent. His sword arts were gorgeous and dreamy, especially the one he used to kill Dantai Mingyue. It left many people horrified as they had never seen such a gorgeous sword art before. Demoness Saber Lan Sanmei, the #1 young blade artist of Blood Sky Continent, as well as the #1 young blade artist of Elysium. At least for now, it wouldn't be easy for Duguju to surpass her. A confrontation between a sword artist and a blade artist had always been exciting. Not to mention that their statuses among blade artists and sword artists were both at the very top. Lan Sanmei was well aware of how frightening Marquis Sword Snow was. Therefore she didn't dare to attack recklessly. She waved her black demonic blade, sending out a black saber chi that slashed toward Marquis Sword Snow. Marquis Sword Snow's figure flickered like a flickering light, brushing past the black saber chi. With a cry, his sword was unsheathed, filling the sky with snowflakes. What a fast sword! Lan Sanmei's pupils shrank as she hurriedly waved her blade to block. Clang! Lan Sanmei retreated a few steps, her figure staggering. Around her, traces of sword chi splashed out. He blocked it. Worthy of being the Demoness Saber. Up until now, no one had been able to block Marquis Sword Snow's sword unscathed. Even Dantai Mingyue, who had the fastest movement speed, was almost pierced in the throat. Snowflakes dance. Snowflakes no longer fell down. Instead, they fluttered in the air and pierced toward Lan Sanmei. These snowflakes were condensed from Marquis Sword Snow's sword chi. They were incomparably cold and sharp. If one didn't try their best to defend, even their protective Zhenyuan wouldn't be able to block them. Break! Lan Sanmei let out a delicate shout. Her black demonic blade danced in an airtight manner, blocking all the snowflakes outside of an eggshell-like black blade screen. Marquis Sword Snow's eyes lit up. Lan Sanmei's blade arts contained vibrating power. The snowflakes condensed from sword chi were originally not that easy to block. However, upon encountering the vibrating power, they immediately disintegrated, turning into formless chi currents. Demonic chop. The black blade screen shattered, and Lan Sanmei's figure suddenly rushed forward. She waved her demonic blade and slashed out a deep black blade light. The blade light turned blurry and even the space was shattered. In the small chamber, Duguju's eyes were ice cold. It was precisely this blade that had defeated him. The blade light was as fast as a swan, arriving in a flash. Clang! With Marquis Sword Snow at the center, a large amount of dazzling sparks shot out in all directions. The continuous collision of blades and swords caused Lan Sanmei to retreat dozens of steps. She said in astonishment, "You actually broke my demonic chop with a revolving power?" Demonic chop was a peerless blade art that could only be used at greater completion. The vibrating power contained within was far beyond that of ordinary blade arts. Under this blade, even Duguju, whose blade power was higher than hers, would have to bear a grudge. From this, one could see how frightening this blade was. On the other hand, Marquis Sword Snow's body rotated the moment the blade light reached him. His long sword also followed suit, continuously weakening the vibrating power contained in demonic chop. What a frightening blade artist! What a frightening sword artist! Everyone was astonished. Whether it was Lan Sanmei's demonic chop or Marquis Sword Snow's revolving sword art, both were terrifyingly powerful. Moreover, Lan Sanmei was the one who had exchanged the most moves with Marquis Sword Snow since the start of the point battle. If it were someone else, they would have been defeated long ago. With my strength, it's impossible to defeat him. I can only use that move. A thought flickered in Lan Sanmei's mind and her gaze turned cold. Swish! Lan Sanmei quickly approached Marquis Sword Snow while hiding the black demonic blade at his waist. Marquis Sword Snow's intuition told him that Lan Sanmei's blade was extremely frightening. His expression turned grave, not daring to be the slightest bit careless. Annihilation chop. Lan Sanmei's right arm turned indistinct as he instantly shot out a blade strike. The vibrating frequency of this strike was even higher than demonic chops, to the point that before the strike could be completely unleashed, countless flowers of blood blossomed on Lan Sanmei's right arm. This was a sign that his body couldn't bear the vibrating frequency. As the blade was unleashed, the space shattered and shattered. Delightful. Only in the life and death palace would I dare to unleash this strike. As soon as the blade was unleashed, Lan Sanmei's spirit, chi, and soul seemed to have been emptied. Freezing sword point. Marquis Sword Snow's expression had never been so grave before. His sword shot out almost at the same time as Lan Sanmei's blade. An ice-blue trajectory brushed past the demonic blade. Due to the vibrating power contained in the demonic blade being too powerful, Marquis Sword Snow's sword, which was originally aimed at Lan Sanmei's throat, was deflected, and ultimately pierced the latter's left shoulder. Gotcha. Lan Sanmei's left shoulder was instantly sealed in ice, which quickly spread to his chest and abdomen. With a bang, a small half of Lan Sanmei's body shattered like an ice sculpture. Lan Sanmei had been defeated. On the other hand, Marquis Sword Snow's left arm had been severed from the elbow, and his blood dyed the ground red. For the first time, Marquis Sword Snow was gravely injured, losing an arm. In the small chamber, Lan Sanmei sighed, "Annihilation Chop can only be used when one has reached perfection in demonic blade arts. If it was outside, this strike would have severely injured the user. It's a blade move that kills 1,000 enemies while injuring oneself 800. Unfortunately, I still couldn't beat him. That sword's power was condensed into a single point, not even the slightest bit leaking out. If it hadn't brushed past the demonic blade, my whole body would have been sealed in ice and shattered." Marvelous, truly marvelous. This battle could be said to be a pinnacle battle. Marquis Sword Snow's sword art and Lan Sanmei's blade art had left the majority of the audience gasping in amazement. One has vibrating power and the other has compressed power. Very troublesome. Yi Qin had seen everything. He had long since witnessed Lan Sanmei's demonic blade arts. Its destructive power was extremely frightening, just like the cutting machines of Yi Qin's world. As long as the vibrating power was sufficient, it could easily cut through steel. Marquis Sword Snow's freezing sword point, on the other hand, was a sword move that completely compressed the power at the tip of the sword. Compared to young undying Demon Lord's chaotic world calamity, this freezing sword point was more reserved, and its destructive power was also greater. The battle between Lan Sanmei and Marquis Sword Snow had ended, and only one battle remained in the 24th round. Everybody looked toward the stone steel. Two names lit up. Yi Qin against Marquis Sword Star. Heavens! Another pinnacle battle. And it's a sword artist against a sword artist. Marquis Sword Star is the #1 young sword artist of Sky Sword Continent in name. His strength is unfathomable, probably not below Marquis Sword Snow. Although this Yi Qin looks a bit inferior on the surface, he might have some powerful killing moves. I wonder who will win. Most likely Marquis Sword Star. He was the last life and death substitute list's first ranker, and his cultivation base has also reached the peak of the 3rd layer. The gap is not small. Yeah, Yi Qin's chances of winning are quite small. But as long as he can keep up with the battle between Lan Sanmei and Marquis Sword Snow, it'll be fine. Hopefully he won't be unable to injure Marquis Sword Star. The battle between Yi Qin and Marquis Sword Star had stirred up a heated discussion among the crowd. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.